Hello everyone, welcome to another stream of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time we started the fourth case. It's a murder that took place in a big space station. Apollo Justice's friend was killed. There's a lot of new peoples and we're trying to figure out who the heck did it. Who the heck actually did it. And, are you sure you were really paying attention to what Detective Arm was doing? Mr. Person we're cross-examining? Give me a second, lads. You doubt my words? Words that will someday be written down in history books? Give me a second. Shake, 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 shake. Somehow, I don't think those exact words will ever be written down in any history books. Mr. Wright, could you please explain yourself so that we can all understand? You say that Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots, and yet only 1 bullet was ever found at the scene. What? What? Only 1 bullet hole means the gun was only fired once, and yet Director Cosmos is saying Detective Arm fired 2 shots. No editor would allow such a glaring contradiction into a history book.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, the witness's words are true. We confirm that 2 shots were fired from Detective Arm's gun.
Objection!
But there was only 1 bullet hole at the scene. Where did the other bullet hole vanish to? Ag! You should know the answer to that already. I should? During the previous trial, a certain oxygen tank was presented as evidence. We've already discussed that it was ruptured in the lounge, have we not? Well, it appears that the thing that ruptured, it was a bullet. A bullet that was found near the tank, to be precise. This bullet was fired from a .38 caliber gun, the same caliber as the detective's gun. What? Oh no. The rifling marks also match up. There's no question that the bullet was fired from Detective Arm's gun. Rifling marks? They're like a gun's fingerprints on a bullet, correct? And examining the rifling marks on a bullet can tell us the gun it was fired from? One of the bullets the detective fired found its way into the holographic image display. The other bullet came to a stop near the victim's oxygen tank. The evidence confirms the director's statement that the detective fired 2 shots. My beautiful contradiction. Gone. All gone. So, the bullet hole was from a .38 caliber, huh? I better update the record. Very good. Now we know the fate of both of the shots Detective Arm fired. Mr. Wright, does that clear up all of your questions? Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots. One hit the holographic display and the other hit the oxygen tank. Does that really clear up everything about what happened at the scene? Just in case, let's do a little savey save. No, it doesn't. No, Your Honor, it doesn't. Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots from a .38 caliber gun, but that doesn't explain the existence of a certain piece of evidence found at the scene. A piece that points to the existence of a 3rd person. Oh. Very well, but it won't do to keep us waiting, Mr. Wright. What piece of evidence suggests the possibility of a 3rd person at the scene? The other gun. The other bullet, rather.
Take that!
And what is this metal pellet supposed to be? Just a little something of great importance we found at the crime scene, Your Honor. You found it where? In a floor gutter at the crime scene. It looks like the police and prosecution both missed it. Furthermore, this is a 10 caliber bullet, making it much smaller than one of the Detective Arm's .38 calibers. Then that means... Exactly. One more person must have been there in the lounge. A 3rd person who had a gun that could fire 10 caliber bullets. And if that's true, it explains why Detective Arm fired warning shots. The third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun, and in return the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Director Cosmos? Ha ha ha, it looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us. Hey, Mafia babe. Welcome back. How you doing today? Welcome to another Phoenix Wright. How's life treating ya? What's this now? What? You never breathed a word of any of this to me before. Ha ha ha. Well, all great men have a secret or two, don't you know? You're not so good? Uh-oh. What's going on? Talk to me, my friend. Tisk. Foolish old geezer. So Director Cosmos really has been hiding the presence of a third person all along? Director Cosmos, I want you to testify to the court about what you really saw. You may be a very great man, but in my courtroom, you are just another witness. You won't receive special treatment here. Now please give accurate testimony. Witness testimony. What I saw. Detective Arm and I rushed to this controls room together. In the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room and Terran on the floor. You're tired of school. It's stressing me out. Oh no. What's happening exactly that's stressing you out? Hopefully it'll end for you soon. There's this month, next month, and maybe next month? So it's almost done for the summer. We were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us. Homework is tough. I hope this stream can ease the stress a bit. Given that there was no third person in the lounge when the witness entered it, does this mean the person who fired the gun had to have been the defendant? Not necessarily. It's still possible that it was someone else. Most likely as soon as Detective Arm and Director Cosmos discovered this person, they escaped through the southern door, the one that didn't have a security lock.
Objection!
Double-edged swords are a tricky lot. Mishandle one and it's you who is cut down. Huh? Your reasoning could apply if Spaceboy were the killer as well. Think about it. After being discovered, he could have fired the 10 caliber gun. Detective Arm would have responded by firing 2 warning shots. All you had to do was feign unconsciousness to invent the possibility of a third person. But Mr. Starbuck didn't have a gun in his possession when he was found by the police, nor has a gun been found at the crime scene. Its absence can only be explained if there was a third party who took it with them.
Objection!
Recall the existence of a trash chute in the boarding lounge. The defendant could have simply thrown the gun down the chute.
Objection!
But you can't deny the possibility of a third person leaving with the weapon.
Objection!
It's up to you to prove that possibility, and I trust you haven't forgotten my little piece of decisive evidence. What evidence? Why, the detonator switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, naturally. The most compelling evidence of all that tells us he is the culprit. Ag! I did forget all about that. Look, your baldness, how deliciously obvious it is that they lack the evidence to rival mine. Wow, he sliced our third-person theory to ribbons and served it to us just like that. Yes, well, I have a question of my own, actually. That bullet that the mysterious figure shot, what did it hit exactly? It hit me. So does that mean you're a ghost? I was wondering when you would realize it, your baldness. Director Cosmos. Director Cosmos is an authentic, bona fide ghost. He can even pass through walls. He's a ghost? You're first, yay! Your first Mafia, babe, you did it. Eek!
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell, shame on you for teasing the nice old gentleman. Your baldness, it was all in jest. Please show yourself again. Are you sure? In that case, how did you manage to survive being shot, Director Cosmos? Ha ha ha. I'm glad you asked. It was a miracle befitting a great history-making figure such as myself. The bullet hit my glorious Medal of Honor, where it ricocheted, thus saving my life. What? Yeah, Blackwell's great. What a jokester. That's unbelievable. I have to check this out. Oh wow, look at that. There's one extra Giaxa star. The odds are literally astronomical. I guess it really was a miracle. It's beginning to really feel like the Cosmos is watching out for Director Cosmos. But why did you conceal this information, Director Cosmos? A great man such as myself has to hide things on occasion, no matter how much it hurts. It is the plight of the truly great. It may be hard for this generation to understand. I don't know, but it sounds fishy to me. What else is he hiding? Let's just cross-examine him and see what we can find out. Now then, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. What I really saw at the scene. Detective Arm and I rushed to the control room together. Give me a second, guys. As usual, I have no idea, so, you know. Okay. Detective Arm rushed to the control room. In the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room and terrain on the floor. We were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us. Bullet at the statement.
Objection!
Hold a second. Hold on a minute. Hang on. Director Cosmos, I believe you are telling this great court a glorious lie. A great man like me tell a lie? Have you ever heard of such a thing in all of history? My accusation is based on the positions of the people who were in the lounge. According to your testimony, you and Detective Arm were near the control room door, and the mystery figure was standing in the middle of the boarding lounge. Hang on a minute, give me a second. Okay. Mystery lounge or whatever. If, as you say, a figure fired a gun at you from this position, then the bullet would have traveled in this direction. However, we found the 10 caliber bullet here. Oh. This trajectory and where the bullet was actually found contradict each other. Director Cosmos, where were you really when you were being shot at? Hey, Morph. I haven't seen you in a while. How have you been? What's up? Where were you when you were being shot at? Gag! Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the human merry-go-round.
Objection!
You're doing good? That's good. I'm doing great. I'm playing this game. We're getting farther in the cases. All's good here, my friend. All's good here. Don't tell me you've forgotten already. Didn't the witness himself just tell you the bullet hit his medal? Of this, there is no mistake.
Objection!
But in that case, the bullet should have been found near the east side of the room. Are you trying to say that you can explain this inconsistency? Of course. I didn't think so. What? Oh, great Director Cosmos. Yes? Is there something you'd like me to expound upon? You were in fact not in the control room to the east, were you? You were looking into the lounge from the door to the south, is that not right? Garg! What are you getting at? Use your own brain. Your head must have some use other than housing that bird's nest. Bird's nest? Why does everyone pick on my hair? Director Cosmos and the detective witnessed the scene from the southern door. The killer fired at them there, and that is why the bullet was found in the south. Ah, that makes some sense, actually. Also, the witness being at the southern door is rather favorable for the prosecution. Huh? I've got a bad feeling about this. How about it, Director? If you don't tell the truth this time... Oh! Yikes! His handcuffs! You will become but rust upon my sword. I relish the chance to cut down a great man. Alright, I'll tell the truth, just put your sword away. You are correct. I, the great Yuri Cosmos, was looking into the room from the southern door. What? That's the complete opposite of all the testimony he's given so far. And now you have lost your possibility that a third person was in the room. I have? How? The director and the detective were near the southern door, meaning the killer couldn't have escaped through there. The western door required print recognition. The corridor beyond was filled with smoke. The only escape route left was the eastern control room door. And the only way to get through there was with Director Cosmos' fingerprints. In short, there would be no escape for any third person had there been one. My third person just disappeared, like in one of Chusi's magic tricks. Order in the court. Director Cosmos, why did you tell such an outrageous lie? You're covering for the defendant, isn't that right? Yes, it was all for the love of my men. If I said I was in the eastern control room, it would mean the culprit could have escaped through the southern door. It would have meant that there could have been a third person. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck, but I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person. What a convoluted lie. Was he really covering for the defendant? It looks like we've come to a conclusion. That the defense's argument, the possibility of a third person, has crumbled. No! It's over. Yikes, the judge is about to hand down his verdict. Think, Phoenix, think. This is the perfect time to try and turn my thinking around. If a third person had no way of escaping the scene, then what if one of the people at the scene was this third person? Wait, what if the whole premise is all wrong? Director Cosmos said that he and Detective Arm rushed to the scene together, but what if that premise isn't true? What if one of them reached the scene before the other one? And if that person entered the lounge, and they would be the third person? The defendant is the only one who could have killed the victim and shot at the director. There doesn't appear to be any room for argument against these claims. I will now render my verdict.
Objection!
Please wait, Your Honor. There is still one possibility. Oh, this had better be good, Mr. Wright. There is one and only one person who could have escaped from the room, and that person would be the first person to arrive on the scene. Then upon entering the boarding lounge, the second person to arrive came via the southern door. That's why the first person fled from the room, using an escape route that was accessible only to them. Very well, let's hear more about this theory. Who is the one person who could have escaped from the boarding lounge? It was, Chusi. Obviously, right? She was there. She was the one. She's the one. No, it's Yuri.
Take that!
What? but that's... Mr. Wright, what are you claiming here? Of all people who were at the scene, only the witness could have escaped. The director is the only one with the authority to open the control room door, after all. But that means... Exactly. The true identity of the third person is our current witness, Director Yuri Cosmos. Gah! What? What? Order in the court, I say. Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself in more detail. I assert that Director Cosmos arrived at the scene before Detective Arm, and entered the boarding lounge alone. Detective Arm arrived after that and saw a suspicious figure who was actually Director Cosmos standing in the lounge. And that's why she fired the 2 warning shots. Gah, I've been hit! I've been hit on the starboard side! Captain Wright, it's a direct hit on the enemy ship, sir. A magnificent shot. Warning shots fired from the enemy ship. Prepare to intercept. Cosmos, you have told a lie in this court once again. I've been hit on the port side. The enemy has called in reinforcements. Earth to Cosmo Control Center, requesting permission to ask that you return to reality. But my ship will not go down to anything less than the ultimate weapon of evidence.
Objection!
But I do have evidence. In fact, you could say that your battleship bears its scar. Nah. If Director Cosmos is the third person Aura Blackquill saw, this third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun, and in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Director Cosmos? Ha ha ha, it looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. This mystery person fired upon us. Director Cosmos must have been the one who fired the 10 caliber gun. When Detective Arm discovered him in the lounge, it only makes sense that he would have turned and shot at her. Therefore, the evidence on the director's body is of a different kind of relevance than before. Once we compare it against another piece of evidence, the mark that you receive from the third party will be all the proof we need. Hey, Captain Chips, you're just in time for some fun. To prove that you were the one there at the lounge. Arrgh. Brace for further impact. Comparison against this piece of evidence will prove that you are the one in the lounge. This.
Take that!
I think. And what would you like to say about that piece of evidence, Mr. Wright? Alright, it's obviously the other one then. The other bullet. You're just in time, Captain Chips. I'm messing up the evidence. Again! Yay!
Take that!
The .38 caliber bullet found on the floor at the scene didn't hit the oxygen tank. It hit Director Cosmos's metal. If we have that ricochet mark on the metal analyzed, I'm sure the caliber will match up. And if that mark proves to be from a .38 caliber bullet, it will prove that you are the third person we've been looking for. Gah! The bridge is destroyed, losing altitude, all hands abandon ship. If that's true, then what about the bullet that hit the oxygen tank? It was the 10 caliber bullet. In other words, it was the bullet fired by Yuri Cosmos. Isn't that right, Director? Hey, Foursquare. No, you got it all wrong. What? The engines have started again? It's a miracle. I'm not going down yet. Your buddy needs a lawyer, like Apollo. Alright then, we're gonna find him a lawyer. Phoenix is on the case, Foursquare. How are you today? Witness, stop this at once and confess the truth. If you don't want the history books to say that a great man was a great liar, then accept your fate and tell the truth. Are you giving me orders? Me, the great director of this Cosmos Space Center? Gah, but the cosmos revolves around me. Someone get me off this thing! You did your chores? That's good. As long as you did your chores, right? BRB Mafia? Alrighty. Order in the court, and will someone please stop the witness from spinning? Phew. Thank goodness we were able to stop him from spinning off the face of the earth. While he was twirling, I took the liberty of running an analysis on the mark on the metal. It was made by a .38 caliber bullet, matching it with the size of Detective Arm's firearm. Nah! Are you ready to confess the truth, witness? No, you've got it all wrong. This is just a misunderstanding. Is he going to start piling on more lies? It looks like it. But no matter how many lies he tells, I'll just expose them one by one. I'll make that big liar tell the truth. To be continued. Yeah, let's continue. Director Cosmos, a new possibility has been presented by the defense. They are claiming that you were this third person. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. So the great pioneer of space development is revealed to be just another fabulous cur. I only have one question for the likes of you. Shall I send you off quickly or very quickly? Arrgh! The evidence doesn't lie, Director Cosmos, so don't try and talk your way out of this. Give me a second, guys. Okay. Yeah, don't talk your way out of this. Fine, I'll tell the truth. It's all just as you say, Mr. Wright. It's true that I was there in the boarding lounge. I got there before Detective Arm, and when she arrived, she fired warning shots at me. I was afraid people would mistake me for the killer, so I escaped to the control room. I then went past the elevators and all the way around to the boarding lounge 1 again. I came up behind Detective Arm and pretended to be the second one on the scene. A troublesome old man you are, with such convoluted deeds and thoughts. I see. So then, are you still insisting that you did not kill the victim? Of course I am. When I arrived at the lounge alone, I saw the true killer. The great Yuri Cosmos was a history-making witness. This something or ever 14 port cast finish is a very sharp sword. Nice. Detective Blackwell has a sharp sword, by the way. Hopefully it'll match your sword, Foursquare. Now hold on just one moment. We just proved a few minutes ago that the third person that Mr. Starbuck and Miss Aura Blackwell saw was you. No, it wasn't me. I saw the person as well. If I were the killer, why would I lie to cover for Starbuck? I would just leave him and to take the fall. That is an excellent point. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person. Well, that makes some sense if he told those lies to cover for Mr. Starbuck. Still, a lie's a lie, Athena. So Director Cosmos claims he's not the culprit, but where's the proof? I just remembered. I have an alibi. Miss Blackwell said she saw the killer at 10 a.m., correct? Yes, and? Well, I was on the 4th floor helping with the evacuation effort. Ask any member of the staff you'd like. They'll corroborate with me. They'll corroborate me. The director is not fibbing to the court for once. I confirm that he has an alibi for the time specified. So, you're claiming that Miss Blackwell saw the killer commit the crime first at 10 a.m.? And that you arrived at the lounge after that? Yes, and I believe the person I saw is the same person that Miss Blackwell saw. Although it was pitch black, so it was more of a shadowy figure than less of a person. And I couldn't actually see their face, but it was definitely the silhouette of an earthling. As long as he has an alibi. We can't very well claim Director Cosmos was the killer. No, we can't. Then again, maybe we don't need to yet. I wonder if he was really covering for Mr. Starbuck. Your Honor, the defense moves to have the director testify about the person he saw. Very well. Director Cosmos, your testimony, please. As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. I hid to avoid getting shot, but when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door and, well, the launch pad 1 door, and the control room door should have been tight to the killer. So you were shot at by the killer as well, and then they disappeared? Yes, though luckily no harm came to my glorious body. Unfortunately, the bullet hit Terran's oxygen tank. I know because I heard a pang. That must have been the sound of the tank being ruptured. Wait, but I thought the bullet hit his metal. That was Detective Arm's bullet, remember? Right, what a mess this is turning into. So, let's see. Director Cosmos is claiming that when he found Mr. Terran and his killer, the culprit shot a 10 caliber bullet at him. Right, but it actually hit Mr. Terran's oxygen tank and ruptured it. And then the killer disappeared and the director went into the boarding lounge. When Detective Arm caught up and fired those warning shots at him, judging by his medal, it looks like one of them almost took him out too. Good summary, but that doesn't explain where our mystery killer went. Hey stars! How you doing today? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're ready for some more Phoenix Wrights. Director Cosmos, I was wondering if you could elaborate on when the figure disappeared. I'm ashamed to admit I tried to hide myself when I was shot at, but when I peeped back into the lounge, the real killer was gone! I rushed into the lounge straight away to investigate, but what I found was Terran with a knife in his chest and Starbuck out cold on the floor. So we have a culprit who vanished from a scene that had no escape route. Vanished without a trace. It's truly like one of the great mysteries of the cosmos.
Silence!
You're good, how am I? I am great. Just playing this game again, having a good time. And Mafia's back! What's up? How you doing? A riddle of the ages indeed, but I'd rather know how a fibbing leech such as you can be lauded as great. A great man is always misunderstood in his own time, but he must remain true to himself, even if those around him don't understand. Wow, that might have been the first true statement he's said all day. But how do you suppose this person managed to vanish so suddenly? Simple, because it was Spaceboy himself. When he was spotted by the director and Aura, he quickly feigned unconsciousness. That would certainly take all the mystery out of the idea of a vanishing culprit. I want to raise an objection, but I don't have any counter-evidence. Director Cosmos, when you saw this person, did you also see Mr. Starbuck on the floor? No, because it was as dark as a black hole in there. I didn't see Starbuck until the other person vanished and I entered the room. That wasn't exactly helpful. I'm prepared to accept your surrender, Wright Dono. I can't find any holes in this testimony, but I can't give up. Mr. Wright, why don't you let me help? Huh? While the director was giving his testimony, I detected a cacophony of discord, which means he's hiding his true feelings from us, huh? This just might help us find out what happened to our vanished killer. That'd be great, Athena. Let's see what you can do with him. You got it, boss. I wouldn't want to miss this chance to delve into a great mind. Yuri Cosmos, prepare to hand over the secrets of your heart to me! It's that time again. As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. I hid to avoid getting shot, but when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door, and well, the launchpad 1 door. Huh, he's sad at the launchpad 1 door. Got it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be afraid of the launchpad door. The great Yuri Cosmos? Afraid? And what basis do you have for that outlandish accusation? Whether I have any basis or not, you seem quite distressed by it. I'm most certainly not. Director Cosmos, there's something about the launchpad door that you're not telling us, is there? Gah! Wow, he's speechless. Looks like you hit the nail on the head, boss. It's working, boss. One more punch and it'll be a knockout. There seems to be one more emotion that's at odds with his testimony. Go get him. Okay, back in the Matrix it is. Time to pinpoint our way to victory. As I try to enter the lounge, the true killer fired a gun at me. I had to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get away, I vanished in thin air. Near the other side door, and the launchpad door, and the control room door should have been shot tight to the killer. Whoops. Back. Side door. They vanish into thin air. Apparently, it's, this one. You must have thought it was very strange that the killer vanished into thin air. I did. That kind of thing just doesn't happen usually. And yet, at the time, you barely registered any shock at the occurrence. What? Why are you... Grr. I can only think of one reason as to why you weren't surprised by the killer's vanishing act. You must have had a good idea of where they went, isn't that right? What? No, of course not. That's preposterous. Only I can enter the control room. And the area beyond the launch pad door was filled with smoke, making it impassable. And as for the southern door, I was standing right there, so there was nowhere for the killer to run to. Maybe or maybe not, you went into the room to check on Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Terran, yes? What if the culprit took that opportunity to silently slip out through the southern door? I highly doubt it, as you recall right after I entered the lounge. Detective Arm came rushing toward it herself via the southern hallway. Anyone trying to escape through there would have been caught by her. And yet the director wasn't surprised the killer vanished, so you're absolutely sure there was no escape route for the culprit to use? I'll just input those two pieces of data, and... yes, just what I wanted to see. Presto changeo, less discord. It looks like we're on the right track. Thanks, Athena. Now to make sense of what we've learned. Director Cosmos wasn't surprised that the culprit suddenly vanished from the lounge, which points to the possibility that he knew where the killer had escaped to. Hello? It's, Tragics, I think. Sorry, I'm looking at my guide right now. So seeing chat is a little bit tough. Is it? Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Give me a second, guys. Let me see who's here. It's AZ! How you doing, AZ? Sorry. What's up? Haven't seen you in a couple of years. Which points to the possibility that he knew where the killer had escaped to. Furthermore, talking about the door to the launch pad made him uneasy. In other words, he's probably hiding something about the launch pad 1 door. When we put these two pieces together, only one solution to this puzzle comes to mind. Director Cosmos, did the real killer escape through here? But yeah, how have you been, AZ? I hope all has been well. It might be a little bit tough, like I said, to read chat, because I'm big stupid. Launchpad 1 corridor. The culprit went through the Launchpad 1 door to escape, didn't they? Yes, I mean, no. Disaster to starboard. We're going to crash into the asteroid. A master tactician you are not. But the area beyond that door was filled with smoke, wasn't it? True, but this is still only logical answer there is. We can just figure out what the director is hiding about the Launchpad 1 door. We should be able to iron out the logical inconsistencies. But that door requires fingerprint recognition. Only Starbuck, Terran, and I have access. I don't see how the killer could have opened that security lock, do you? It's an easy one. The killer was right there in the boarding lounge meaning there's a way he could have easily gotten past the security lock. Come to think of it, we did examine the prints on the fingerprint recognition device. I propose that the killer used this person's fingerprints to get past the security lock. Used Solomon Starbuck.
Take that!
That's... Mr. Starbuck was lying unconscious there in the boarding lounge. Anybody could have easily gotten past the security lock by using Mr. Starbuck's prints. And actually, Mr. Starbuck's prints are exactly what we found on the device's screen. Arrgh! It looks like he does have something to hide about the Launchpad 1 door. and I'm betting it's got something to do with the culprit's escape route, but I don't have enough information to see the whole picture yet. It's D Steppin'. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you. How you doing today, my friend? You know, something just occurred to me. Would you like to hear it? Huh? Oh, yes, by all means. There's a security camera in boarding lounge 1. Right, the one that recorded the victim and the defendant. What about it, Your Honor? If the true culprit escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, then that might be recorded on the security footage as well. Then the mystery would be solved. What do you think of my logic? I hope you didn't strain your faculties too much for that, your baldness. I beg your pardon? Look, if we play the security footage beyond this point... Oh my! The footage cuts off! The camera was running on backup power, but apparently the power cables were damaged. Great. How be ya? She be... hopefully better at this present time. Power cables were damaged, most likely by the after effects of the explosion. There is no footage after this, it be of criminals or space aliens. And I thought it was such a good idea to... Just because your grandchild is watching from the gallery, it doesn't mean you should try to show off too much, Grandpa Baldness. Prosecutor Blackwell, how did you know about my grandchild? I think his grandchild just learned a little about the harshness of the adult world. Well... Setting aside the issue of grandchildren, I'd like to have the witness continue. Director Cosmos, could you tell us more about when you entered the lounge? If I must. I had to avoid getting shot. After the killer vanished, I went into the lounge. Info update! But that's when Detective Arm appeared from the elevator side door. Then the detective shot at me. Ah! Okay. Pinpoint. This one, I think. Director Cosmos, why were you so surprised when Detective Arm found you, and again when she fired? Isn't that a bit unnatural? Sadly, even great men such as myself have ordinary human feelings. Our bodies are bound by the forces of gravity and emotions. Even a great man such as myself experiences surprise on occasion. Yes, I'm sure you do. But my real point is not the fact that you were surprised, but rather what you were surprised by. Pardon me? First you were surprised when Detective Arm found you in the lounge. And just after that, you were of course again surprised when she shot at you. Considering what you were surprised about, a strange phenomenon occurs here. Director Cosmos, what is strange about your surprised reaction is the fact that you were... more surprised than when Arm came. Sure, you were surprised when Detective Arm shot at you, but the surprise you felt when she found you in the lounge was much greater. Gah! The fact that you were more surprised by simply being found than by being shot at suggests to me that you were conflicted about whatever it was you were doing there. The enemy has acquired a new weapon. Commence Operation Hide It Under Your Desk. Ah! Please tell me I finally sunk his battleship. Nope, not yet. Boss, I'm getting less Discord now. That must mean he really is hiding something about that launchpad door. And whatever he's hiding most likely has something to do with the killer's escape. I wonder what it could be. If he was doing something suspicious around that door, maybe we can spot some change between before he came to the room and after. Detective Fulbright gave us a photo taken after the crime. Let's run a comparison. Let's see. This is the footage of the door before Director Cosmos arrived. And this is how the door looked after the director entered the lounge. Hey, look at that. There is a change. Something's definitely different. The lights are on. Director Cosmos? What is it? What have you two been up to over there? Finding the answer to what you were doing when Detective Arm found you, that's what. And that answer lies clearly in this footage. All we have to do is compare it to the photo that was taken during the investigation. Don't be ridiculous. If you really do have an answer, you have pointed it out already. He's asking for it. This is what changed directly after the incident. It's... Panel on the... So this... Alright, I'm gonna save the game real quick in case I'm wrong. In case the guide is wrong. My bad. The lightning's quite a bit different. Ooh, the handle to the left.
Take that!
The answer is this knob. That's... Your Honor, please take a look at this footage. Let's see. Take a look at the knob next to the launch pad door. As you can see, it's horizontal. Yes, it is, isn't it? However, when we investigated the scene of the crime yesterday, the knob was vertical. And what does that mean? It means that sometime between before the director arrived and after, someone turned this knob. Arrgh! After the scene was discovered, you were the only one who could have turned the knob. Come now, Director Cosmos. Let's hear what you have to say. What were you trying to do by turning that knob by the door? Fine, I admit it. You're right, I did turn that knob. The knob is a safety lock meant to keep the launch pad in place. I was afraid there would be more explosions, so I wanted to move the launch pad away. You wanted to do what? Hey, didn't Ponko tell us something about how they prepare for launch? She said that once the launch pad's fully assembled, it's moved to the launch site. Like that. But the safety lock in the boarding lounge had to be disengaged first. I guess that clears up what that knob is for. Oh, so if the killer escaped into the Launchpad 1's corridor, maybe they were transported along with the launch pad to the launch site. I don't think so. The Launchpad 1 corridor was filled with smoke. I don't think they could have escaped through that corridor. So then, where did the killer escape to? I guess there are still some things we have to uncover. Dr. Cosmos, I request that you tell us about the moving the launch pad in more detail. Fine. But listen carefully, for I'm about to give history in the making testimony. I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. Whoa, why are you happy all of a sudden?
Got it!
I had no choice but disengage the safety lock. You make it sound like you were reluctant to do so, and yet when you did it, you felt some joy as if you were very pleased with yourself. Arrgh! How do you do it? How do you know everything as if you were there? Pretty impressive, isn't it? This is the power of analytical psychology. So care to explain why you felt joy when you disengaged the safety lock? When I think back on the facts we've discovered up to this point, I have to believe that you were trying to fulfill some hidden agenda. How do you know about that too? Because I'm more or less a pro at guessing. But you have no proof that I had a hidden agenda, and even if I did, I would never ever tell you, so there. I know they say people regress as they grow older, but you, sir, take the cake. And how do you doubt a man with such great intensity, intelligence, and integrity?
Silence!
You, a man of integrity? Don't make me laugh. Prosecutor Blackquill? What came over him all of a sudden? You sprouted nothing but falsity since you stepped up to the stand. You're not the kind of man that will be glorified in the annals of history. Not for greatness, anyway. Unless you consider greatness barefaced liar and honor. Liar! Gulp. His words bite harder than his blade. You moved Launchpad 1 after the explosions? My, how naive you are. Oof. Black Quill's a harsh one. You fail to recognize how even the facts themselves have betrayed you. You know? Just a thought, but modern English can be your friend. Black Quill is brutal when he wants to be. Oh yeah. He has to be too. And here's a thought for you. Immediately following the bombing, Launchpad 1 was on the boarding lounge one side. The police confirmed this on scene. What? Liar! So that means the director didn't move the launch pad? Curse my judgment for calling history's greatest liar to the witness stand. Let us leave him to indulge in his lies and war games to his heart's content. Liar!
Objection!
But it doesn't make sense. You can't deny that someone turned that knob. And once the safety lock was released, I'm sure the pad must have went somewhere. We chase down the truth of this issue, we just might find where the killer escaped to. Ag. You're sure it must have went somewhere? We just might find out. Your arguments are nothing but conjecture, bluffing and wishful thinking. Stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is. Or are you not man enough to, boy? Gag! Talk about hitting below the belt. Youngins these days. I don't understand it. I'm sure Director Cosmos must have moved the launch pad. The knob was definitely turned after he came to the lounge, but the launch pad is right where it's supposed to be. Arg. Wait a minute. Maybe I have it all backwards. You always have it all backwards. It's always backwards forever. What if the director turned the knob not to move the launch pad away, but to bring it back to where it was supposed to be? What are you blathering about? What if the launch pad was at the launch site before the incident? And then after the incident, Dr. Cosmos moved it back to its usual spot. All he had to do was turn the knob to call the launch pad back, and it would be right where the police found it. Gah! Hi. You made him sigh like Mr. Starbuck. Was what I said really that off base? It pains me to have to explain how wrong your own logic is to you. However, our great liar turned the knob only after he discovered the crime scene. Indeed, the pad existed beyond the lounge when our Astro Wonders made their escape. A fact that has been recorded for posterity on filmless film. Oh, right. So, to reiterate, stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is, boy. Ah! Get a grip, Mr. Wright, and focus. We know the launch pad must have been moved, but our deductions and the actual facts of the case are in direct contradiction to each other. Well, maybe the two astronauts never actually boarded the rocket. This footage could be fake, taken with body doubles after the incident or something. On second thought, that's too far-fetched, even for me. Never actually boarded the rocket. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe, just maybe, huh? Prosecutor Blackquill, what if I told you that the two astronauts never set foot inside the launch pad area, but instead went into another place? And what if when the director moved the launch pad number 1 back, it was not from launch site, but from another place? What would you say then? Cut the existential bull or I'll cut you. Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself at once. I know I'm right. It was all the other way around from the beginning. Very well, Your Honor. Let me explain. Director Cosmos' reason for moving the Launchpad 1 was to switch it with another place. Because he wanted to switch it with some other place. I'm sorry, but did you say switch it? But what could he possibly have switched the Launchpad with? Oh, you'd be surprised, Your Honor. All it takes is a little thinking outside the box, and the answer becomes clear as day. This is what was switched with Launchpad number 1. It was the Space Museum.
Take that!
Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum. In the past, the Space Museum used to be Launchpad 2. It has all the same features as Launchpad 1. It can even be moved to the launch site, meaning the Space Museum and Launchpad 1 can also be switched with each other. You can't mean... That rocket the astronauts boarded was not the one at Launchpad 1. It was the one in the Space Museum. What? Balderdash! And yet, it's the only explanation that accounts for every riddle and inconsistency. This is how the Space Center was just before the incident. I see Launchpad number 1 and the Space Museum have already switched places. That's right, and with the two switched like this, the astronauts entered the Space Museum from boarding lounge number 1. This allowed the true killer to enter Launchpad 1 from the boarding lounge 2, and set the bomb on the rocket. Come to think of it, the door to the Space Museum from boarding lounge 2... Welcome, welcome! The Space Museum is open to the public every day of the year from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Exactly. Anyone could pass through the door to the Space Museum. There is no fingerprint recognition system on that door. In other words, with the two launch pads switched like that, someone other than Mr. Starbuck could have easily planted that bomb. Gag! After setting the bomb on the rocket, the culprit snuck into the boarding lounge 1 and waited there concealed, in order to kill Mr. Terran, who when the two astronauts emerged from the Space Museum. Recall that Miss Blackwell, Mr. Starbuck, and the director all saw a suspicious figure, who, we can suppose, after killing Mr. Terran, made their escape into the Space Museum. After that, Director Cosmos switched the two launch pads back, without realizing the killer was inside the Space Museum. Huh. Well... are we gonna get Ponko as a witness? That would be cool. No spoilers though. No spoilers. The killer then left the Space Museum and made a clean getaway. Nah! Right, Dono. I see you know how to handle a sword, and handle it well. Perhaps I should call you Swordsmaster Bluff. I'm a seasoned warrior who has cut down many a prosecutor.
Silence.
But unless you can prove your theory, it's no better than a rusty sword. That's right, you have no proof I switched the launch pads. Somebody needs a better anger management counselor. If the launch pads really were switched, there might be a record of it somewhere. At this point, Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched with each other. So the corridor beyond this door should be one that belongs to the Space Museum. Let's see. There's an image of the Launchpad 1 corridor. Do you see anything different when we compared it to the security footage? Huh? That number on the floor. Well, what do you know? It looks like we have proof after all, Prosecutor Blackwell. I hope we do. We'll see. And if this is just another bluff... Oh, don't worry, it's all right here. Right in this footage. Proof that beyond this door is the corridor to the Space Museum. Very well then, answer this for me if you would. What is this footage proves that the corridor belongs to the Space Museum? You see that right there?
Take that!
There's a 1 on the floor of the Launchpad 1 corridor. So, hang on a minute. But take a look at the floor of the corridor in the security footage. Do you see the number on the floor behind the astronauts? It doesn't look like a 1, does it? That's because what you see is actually part of a 2. What? Why is it a 2 and not a 1? That's because the corridor you see is the one to the Space Museum. Gah! Arg! And so that means the corridor in this footage was not filled with smoke. That's right, because the explosion didn't occur in the Space Museum. The explosion occurred in Launchpad 1, on the side opposite the Space Museum. And now that we know the two astronauts escaped from the Space Museum, the mystery from the previous trial of how they got down the ladder is cleared up. Mr. Terran, carrying Mr. Starbuck, simply took the elevator from the upper level down to the middle level. Just incredible! The two launch pads were actually switched! But you'd think someone would have noticed an event of this magnitude? Everyone was down in the basement shelter when the launch pads were swapped back. There was no way anyone could have known what was happening on the surface. Two! It's the two. Good guy! Yay! Cool. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. No more lies, Director Cosmos. It's high time you told us the truth. Gag! My honor, my glory, everything is slipping away. Time to deploy my ultimate weapon. Electric engine, ignition. What? It's gone haywire. Ah, it won't stop. Gag! My stars, my glory, gag! Gag! Yeah! No, not that way! Gag! No! But bailiff, on your steed and after that witness! It's hilarious. Yep, I quite like that. I am fan. Hey, the door's fixed. I see we managed to retrieve you before you came to any bodily harm. Director Cosmos, do you admit you switched the launch pads? I admit it's true. I switched launch pad 1 for the Space Museum. It is good to hear words I can believe for a change. Before you do, Your Honor, 2 things. First, we don't know if Mr. Terran had prior knowledge of the switch. As for Mr. Starbuck, he was unaware of his surroundings thanks to his medication. Either way, Mr. Terran would have realized the instant he stepped into the Space Museum that it had been switched with Launchpad 1. So my first question is, if the Space Museum was perfectly fine, why did Mr. Terran feel the need to put on such a dramatic display? As for my second question, I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the 2 launch pads to begin with. Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. But I will say, my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast. The director is terrified. He must have one heck of a reason for not wanting to explain why. Hey, Bread Maker. Oh, thank you. Mafia, I know what will make your day better. Mafia, my guard, please expel and banish this person from my quarters, from my kingdom. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, Bread Maker, gotta stop doing that, bro. Thank you. Probably not a good time to try to pry it out of him, huh? Excuse me, but would you mind if I picked up my stars? Without my badge of rank, I'm nothing. I don't see why not. Bailiff, help the director retrieve his stars. Evil has been defeated. The true murderer has been caught. It appears the possibility of a culprit other than the defendant has presented itself. Mr. Starbuck, is there anything you wish to say? I don't get it. Don't get it? What don't you get? Director, why did you do all that? From the very beginning, you never meant for the launch to go ahead, did you? You tricked us. Mr. Starbuck? Starbuck, my boy, I'm sorry. I can't tell you the reason why, but I had to do it to protect the Space Center. Director, will I ever get the chance to go into space again? Yes, of course. I won't rest until it happens. I will get you into space again, my boy. Then the dream is still alive.
Silence!
maybe not. You're not going into space, Starbuck, but prison. I won't have it any other way. Why are you so hung up on him? Yes, I accept that the launch pads really were switched, and if there were a third person at the scene, I suppose they could have escaped. But I have yet to see proof of this third person's escape via the Space Museum. Oh, then that's a good point. Arg, he's right. I don't have any proof. Starbuck, you will spill everything you know. What? Me? Arg! Where did you get those bombs? Tell me now. If you don't, my blade shall feast on your blood. Gag! If I'm going to die, I want to die in space. I have to do something. Solomon Starbuck, prepare yourself. Nah! Now, you know violence isn't the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell. That annoyingly cheerful laugh. It can be none other than... Detective Bro, champion of righteousness, Bobby Fulbright here. In justice we trust. Detective Fulbright? Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Lawyer. I hope I'm not too late. I don't believe we had an appointment. I tried to hurry, but I ended up helping a little old lady cross the street. And then I had to break up a cat fight. I tell you, justice sure is a full-time job. Was it a fight between cats, or... Ahem, why are you here again? Because the defendant isn't the culprit, and I came to make sure that justice is served. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Fulbright, I always thought you were a bit touch in the head. But have you finally succumbed? Nope, but it looks like you've succumbed to this phantom of yours. Open your eyes and let the evidence of justice uncloud your judgment. What evidence? Come to think of it, he did say something about finding us some evidence. Thanks, you two. I feel a lot better now that I've been able to get that off my chest. I'm going to work extra hard to find that perfect piece of evidence for you. I didn't think he was serious, though. So, what is it, Detective? Is it something that will prove Mr. Starbuck innocent? It is indeed. Have a look at this. What's this? A lighter? That's right, a lighter thought to have been used by the culprit, no less. The Space Museum's cleaning robot picked it up. It has the victim Clay Terran's blood, along with his killer's fingerprints on it. What? Gah! Well, here we go. Alright, guys, we have the killer. Order! Detective Fulbright, can I assume that the fingerprints don't belong to the defendant? You bet. Mr. Starbuck is totally innocent. This is it. This is just what I needed. It was Black Quill? Oh, it's Black Quill. Well. Your Honor, this is decisive evidence that supports the defense's earlier claim. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. With pleasure, Your Honor. Recall when this lighter was found, or where this lighter. Based on that, we can extrapolate that after the killer murdered Mr. Terran, they escaped with lighter in hand into the Space Museum, where they dropped it. The switching of the two launch pads occurred. You can't say Angel Love? Yeah, Angel Love's not here, sadly. So it must be Black Quill. Then finally, the killer left through Boarding Lounge 2 and made their escape. Meanwhile, Mr. Starbuck was found in Boarding Lounge 1 after the murder, a fact that Director Cosmos has testified to. Therefore, Mr. Starbuck couldn't have possibly been the one to drop the lighter there.
Silence!
But the defendant had free reign of the area until Director Cosmos appeared. Could he not have dropped the lighter in the Space Museum during this span of time?
Objection!
You'd like that to be true, wouldn't you? But Director Cosmos testified that right after he saw the mysterious figure with the lighter, he went into the lounge and found the unconscious Mr. Starbuck, In other words, Mr. Starbuck wouldn't have had the time to double back to the museum. No, Prosecutor Blackwell, this lighter could have only been dropped by the real killer. Nah. Most importantly, Mr. Starbuck's fingerprints were nowhere to be found on this lighter. I think you understand what this means, don't you? This piece of evidence unequivocally proves that Mr. Starbuck wasn't the culprit. Gah! This does indeed appear to be decisive evidence that proves the defense's claims. As for the remote switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, we can assume it was planted by the killer on the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. No, there must be some mistake. Frankly, Prosecutor Blackwell, I've been worried about you. You've been chasing this phantom for 7 whole years. I understand your urgency because tomorrow...
Silence!
Fulbright, you promised never to speak of that. Huh? Tomorrow? What about tomorrow? Given the body of evidence, I think it's safe to say the defendant is innocent. In light of the fact that it was impossible for him to have committed the crime, few unanswered questions remain. I look forward to seeing what you two uncover. But for now, this court finds the defendant, Solomon Starbuck, not guilty. Woo! So guys, where does the murderer is on the killed this man list? Wait, who's the murderer? Yes, we did it, Mr. Wright. Looks like we pulled it off somehow, huh? With some help from Detective Fulbright. Mr. Wright, Miss Sykes, thank you, and please take Apollo for me. Thank Apollo for me too. You are all the best. Oh, I wish we could tell Apollo about Mr. Starbuck's verdict right now. Yeah, me too, but that's not gonna have to wait. Now that a verdict has been reached, I'd like to bring today's trial to a close. Court is adjourned. Woo!
Objection!
Oh. Oh dear. Oh no. What happened to Apollo? He got a little bit injured in the courtroom explosion, and then he left. It's too late to object, isn't it? It simply isn't possible. Something's wrong. Prosecutor Blackwell, are you dissatisfied with the verdict? Fulbright, what were the results of the fingerprint analysis for the lighter? Huh? The results? Well, I was in a hurry, you see, and then there was that cat fight, and, well... I kinda got carried away when I heard the prints were at Mr. Starbuck's, so... You have yet to read it? Prosecutor Blackwell, can you read out who the prints belong to? Upon thorough analysis, the fingerprints were found to belong to Athena Sykes. So says the report. What? What? Huh? Me? Oh dear. The prints belong to Maya Fey. Order, I say, order! Miss Sykes, tell me you have an explanation for this. We just finished proving that this lighter could have only belonged to the killer, so finding your prints on it can only lead us to one grave conclusion. I don't know how they got on there, but I know I'm not the culprit. This just not a Phoenix Wright game if someone on the defense team doesn't get accused of murder. Yep. Took us long enough though, huh? This can't be happening. We built up our argument piece by piece, and I don't think any of our reasoning was faulty. So how could it have led to this? Gah! What have I done? Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Order! Order! Detective Fulbright, stop your crying. What in the world is happening here? It's like the world's gone mad. Order! Order! I will have order! Nope. No order today, guys. Confusion spiraled into utter chaos. After all we'd fought for, the truth had turned cruelly on us to accuse Athena of the crimes. Somewhere, somehow, everything had gone terribly wrong. We had stumbled over the edge of reason and into the jaws of a twisted darkness. And shockingly, that is the end of Case 4. Your kitty spiraled into utter chaos? Oh no, your poor kitty. Alright guys, on to the final case. Woo! Turnabout for tomorrow. The big one. No one can escape their past. Oh, she's taking a bath. Oh, gotcha. The sins we've committed, and the sadness we've caused. No matter how far we run, our past remains, as ever-present as the moon in the sky. It looms in wait for the day when we are forced to face it. But only in doing so can we truly make peace and move on in hope towards tomorrow. You're our only hope. Well, December 20th. Oh, 5 days till Christmas, guys. Woo! They took Athena from the courtroom straight to the station. She's probably being questioned at this very moment. After this past year, I took it for granted that those two would always be here, but now Apollo has gone off on his own to seek his own truth. And my pursuit of the truth only ended up with Athena becoming the new suspect. Some boss I turned out to be. It's even quieter in here than usual. Yeah, it seems so empty too. I just don't get it, Daddy. All of your reasoning during the trial seemed pretty perfectly solid. Yeah, and I still believe it was, at least based on what we know. Help, Obi-Wan Ultima, you're my only hope. Yep. But now, Athena is the one who's being accused. During the trial for the bombing and murder that occurred at the Cosmos Space Center, the lighter used by the real culprit was found. The slider proved the defendant Solomon Starbuck innocent. But Athena's prints were found on it instead. And she was subsequently arrested for the murder. Now the question, guys, who is it actually? Who is the actual murderer? But Athena couldn't have done it. It just doesn't make any sense. No, none of it does. I've been racking my brain, but I just can't figure it out. Arrgh, where's the flaw in my reasoning? What have I got wrong in this case? You know, Daddy, if Athena was here, She would have just been sitting around thinking. She'd be out there doing something. You are going to defend Athena, right, Daddy? Mr. Hat. It's Mr. Hat. I should have known. Of course I will. And thanks, Chusey. I needed that push. Chusey's right. The trial is tomorrow. There's no time to waste. If I'm going to prove Athena's innocence, I'd better get out there and find some evidence. Off we go then. We're on the hunt for evidence that'll prove Athena's innocence. Great, but before we go, I'd better tidy up the evidence I have on hand. Athena is probably still in the middle of being questioned. So Chusey's right. The thing to start with is talking to people at the Space Center. So, Chusey's with us now. Good old Chusey, just like in the last game. I think you'll like this chapter, by the way, guys. I think you'll like it a lot. Director Cosmos, do you have a minute?
Galactic scooter, full speed ahead.
Director, he scooted away. His expression changed the instant he saw you, Daddy. Yeah, well, I dragged his name through the mud pretty good at the trial earlier today. That's cringy. Arrested and immediately to trial. We'll see. Trial's moving fast. It is. We were here only yesterday. Oh, hey. Mr. Starbuck, you've been released, huh? Yep, and I came straight here. This is all thanks to you and your team, Mr. Wright. You've given me a second chance to fly into space again. I can't thank you enough. Except... What's wrong? I thought he'd be happy to be acquitted. As I was coming out of the detention center, I saw Miss Sykes. You saw Athena? I was at a loss for words. I didn't know what to say to the poor girl. And then, you know what? She flashed a peace sign at me. Congratulations on your acquittal, she said. Now you can go back into space someday. Yeah, that sounds like Athena. I can just picture it. But I saw her eyes. They were red and swollen from crying. She's gotta be suffering. She must be so worried. And yet she went out of her way to be nice and give me that big smile. She held back her own tears so she could give someone else a smile. That's so Athena. There's no question about it. That girl is innocent. Please, Mr. Wright, you have to make sure she goes free. And then they can put me in prison instead. I don't mind. You can have that either, Mr. Starbuck. Don't worry, Mr. Starbuck. I'm going to give her the very best defense I can. I promise to get her acquitted, just like I did for you. I know she'll be all right with you in her corner. I know you'll never give up on her. Apollo has a fine boss to look up to. About the murder. I still can't believe Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum. What could have made Director Cosmos do such a thing? Even the foggiest idea. So there never was going to be a launch that day, not from the very beginning. Wonder if Clay knew. I imagine he must have. Surely he would have noticed when you went to board the rocket. It's pathetic to think I was the only one who got taken in. But I guess that's about how it goes. When you're worthless, then space debris. Is he going to be alright, Daddy? His expression looks as dark as a black hole. Well, that's just how he is. BRB. Alrighty, Mafia babe. Come back soon, alright? There's a thing happening soon. And that's all I'll say about that. Mr. Starbuck, do you remember anything about the murder? Not really. I only saw a shadowy figure in the dark after all. Yeah, I guess that was a little too much to hope for. Hey, I heard something from the police, though. They said they never did find a 10 caliber gun down the trash chute. Just as I thought, the culprit must have carried it away with them when they escaped. So, was the person you saw holding a gun Mr. Starbuck? I couldn't really tell. But it wasn't Athena, right? Could you tell if the person was male or female, tall or short? I can't even tell you that much. Man, I'm useless. When the culprit opened the door and some light came in, I should have been able to see. The door. Ah, yes. As I recall, they opened this door here as they made their escape. The door to Launchpad 1, right? Yeah, except right now, the door leads to the Space Museum. You mean the Launchpad and the Space Museum are switched right now? Yeah, they're trying to investigate the theory you came up with in court, so they're recreating the conditions, huh? I'd like to see what's beyond that door now. Mr. Starbug, can you open this door for us? Sure, just let me have my print scanned here.
Cool.
Do the launch pads get switched back and forth a lot? Well, back when the Space Museum was Launchpad 2, they used to switch the pads around at times, but these days Launchpad 2 is the only use as a tourist attraction, right? Right, cause, quite frankly, the Space Center needs the money. I hear you. Times sure are tough. Daddy, let's go check out what's beyond that door.
Sure, let's go.
Hey, why don't I come along? I can show you around.
Okay.
Well, looks like someone pooped here. Huh? I wonder what these dead leaves are doing here. Maybe they were stuck to the bottom of somebody's shoes. There are lots of trees around the Space Center. She's right. It's a modern state-of-the-art building, but it's surrounded by trees. But I don't know. If they were stuck to the bottom of somebody's shoes, wouldn't they look more crushed up? These don't look like they've been stepped on. Maybe there's some kind of secret hatch in the corridor, and they came in that way? Not everything is set up like a magician stage, you know. So this is another one of those devices for opening the door, huh? Yep. This one doesn't require fingerprint verification. You just hit the button and open sesame. So when you and Clay went through here, you didn't need to show your prints either? That's right, Juicy. Just like how the culprit didn't need to scan their prints when they escaped back out of the Space Museum corridor and the boarding lounge too. Lovely. Well, I don't see anything else that jumps out at me, and I imagine this corridor is built exactly like the Launchpad 1 corridor. Alright, I guess, maybe we present things, I don't know. Do you know anything about this piece of evidence? No, sorry, I'm so useless. Oh. No, it's alright. There's no need to get all depressed. Normally there'd be like another scene that says, hey, you want to move on now? Well, we got rid of a lot of evidence at least. So that's good. Little bit more. Hang on. Clay always used to cheerfully greet me in a loud voice. Needed vocal exercises every morning, sometimes until he was hoarse, right? Exactly. You could always hear him, even through the wall. Hey, wait a minute. Did you know Clay? No, but like attracts like, as they say. Do you know anything about this piece of evidence? Do you know anything about badges? You're back. Welcome back. What's up? I guess we'll go back here.
Curse those wretched who sullied my good name. Reverse course and full speed away.
Director Cosmos, wait. I'll handle this, Daddy. Take that.
Guard! The mobility system has been compromised.
Juicy's knife throw was a direct hit to one of his tires. And the streak continues. Maybe I should have kept a closer watch on what tricks she's been practicing.
My dear old battleship, we fought many a skirmish together. It has been an honor.
Daddy, he's going to blow that thing up. Nah, I bet all that button will do is make it go haywire again.
Very well, I surrender. As a prisoner of war, I expect to be treated honorably.
Director Cosmos, when you were talking in court about switching the launch pads, you used your right to remain silent about the reason as to why.
Like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the two launch pads to begin with. Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. but I will say my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast. The center of the cosmos is shrouded in mystery, but I don't have any secrets left. Now that my battleship has been destroyed and I've been taken prisoner. Oh. Oh dear. Oh boy. No secrets left, huh? I beg to differ. Looks like I'll have to undo his psyche lux if I want to get to the bottom of this. Shiz. Let's do a little savey save.
Take that!
Bang, bang, bang. I want you to tell me everything you're hiding about the switching of the two launch pads. I refuse. You can't make me. I can hold out longer than anyone. I hope I never get like this when I'm old. Now let's see. Where to start? This is how you explain your motive for switching the launch pads. You did it to save the astronaut. Thanks to you switching the launch pads, the astronauts escaped injury from the blast. Instead, they safely boarded the museum's rocket, far away from the actual explosion. My astronauts were raring to go on an authentic adventure in space. How do you propose I had them board a fake rocket without them noticing? I agree you couldn't have done it without help. For one, they would have figured it out the instant they stepped into the Space Museum. You figured you could fool Mr. Starbuck once he'd been drugged with his medication, but without the help of this person, it would have been impossible to pull your plan off. Save the game real quick. Aw, cheese? What do you mean by that? What's aw, cheese? You?
Take that!
You must have gotten Mr. Terran to help you. Grr! He stole the tranquilizers from his mentor's locker and slipped them to him. And then with Mr. Starbuck in a daze, they boarded the replica rocket in the museum. Someone please help this poor prisoner of war! How was he able to spin around like that? If you really wanted to save the astronauts' lives, shouldn't you have just called off the launch? If I could have done that, do you think I would have gone to all that trouble? Guess he must have had a compelling reason why he couldn't call it off. But how did you know to switch the pads in advance of the bombing incident? Well, that's because I was warned in advance. Once I received that warning, it was my duty to ensure my astronauts' safety. Instead of aw geez, aw cheese. Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. But it was just a warning. It could have even been a prank. Why did you believe in it so completely? But because I went to one of those mediums that everyone's talking about these days. Oh, didn't realize channeling was back in vogue. Besides, I thought it was you yourself that got the warning via telephone. Yes, that's right. The bomber contacted me personally. My battleship is equipped with a special advanced communication system, you see. AKA a regular old telephone. It's been a while. Planning another launch? I see you haven't learned. I'll never forget the terror I felt when I received that call. The bomber said it's been a while, and that was enough to make you take the threat seriously? Perhaps Director Cosmos took the threat so seriously because the Space Center has been involved in a bombing once before? Maybe? The culprit in the current case is the same person who was involved in this incident. The Hat Miracle. The Hat One Miracle, that epic story of survival. People across the nation now know it now as a heroic tale of bravery. But in truth, it was an act of sabotage perpetrated by our current killer, wasn't it? Very few knew about the previous plot when the killer said it's been a while. You knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that the danger was real, and it wasn't a prank. Gah! Didn't anyone tell you to go easy on an ex-serviceman? Yes, the Hat One Miracle was really a desperate battle against an act of sabotage. I even lost the life of one of my staff members in the fight. Sabotage? Murder? So this is the ugly truth behind the Hat One Miracle. I let my guard down. I thought the saboteur had been caught, and the case was closed. Huh? Wait a minute. The murder at the Space Center 7 years ago. This must be the person Director Cosmos thought was the culprit. Just gonna go to the guide real quick. Okay. A Apparently he thought it was Simon Blackwell. Simon Blackwell, the murder suspect in a case that happened here 7 years ago. The place and time of the two incidents, the murder and the sabotage, were the same. So you thought that he committed both crimes. But while Prosecutor Blackwell was behind bars, you got another threatening call. If the culprit this time is the same as 7 years ago, then it isn't Simon Blackwell. Realizing that, you were shaken, and meant the true culprit's been running free for all this time.
How do you keep seeing straight through me?
Oh, really, Mafia Babe? Oh, there's a really good scene coming up. I guess if you have to, that's fine, but oh, that's unlucky. Have a good night, Mafia Baby, if you're going to bed. Be well, and you'll see tomorrow, or you'll see when the VOD is up at least. Bye, if you're going still. Switching the launch pads. The reason why Director Cosmos won't talk about why he switched the launch pads is connected to the truth behind the Hat 1 miracle, the sabotage and murder that happened at the Space Center 7 years ago. Director Cosmos, tell us what you're hiding. If you really want to understand the reason I decided to switch the launch pads, we'll have to start with the story of that horrible nightmare from 7 years ago. 7 years ago? You mean the so-called Hat 1 miracle? The launch went smoothly, but once the ship entered outer space, then the troubles began. It was all the handiwork of a certain person and their evil scheme. So Mr. Starbuck's traumatic experience wasn't accidental. Not only that, but before the launch, a very valuable piece of moon rock was stolen. But that wasn't the worst of it. One of my staff members was murdered. Wow, I had no idea such awful events were behind that exciting story of space heroism. All that in spite of the Space Center having very strict security in those days. All personal effects were examined thoroughly, coming or going. You couldn't even smuggle a withered old leaf through those checkpoints. So, do you have any clue who was responsible for the sabotage? At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackwell. I don't have enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy. A spy? You mean somebody who infiltrates a foreign country? Carries out dangerous missions, and always gets the girl? Someone's watching way too many late-night movies. Well, I guess if we're talking about blowing up a rocket and stealing research material, it's not all that surprising that a spy could be behind it all. Make no mistake, there's cutthroat rivalry between nations in this space R&D race. Some try to outdo others by any means possible, even deliberate obstruction. 7 years ago, we got a call before the launch warning us of sabotage. The same MO as this time. Yes, and here I thought the perpetrator had been caught, but it looks like I was wrong. Prosecutor Blackwell seems more like a ninja than a spy, don't you think? Aren't ninjas and spies basically the same thing? But there's a good reason we failed to find the real spy. A massive cover-up by the government. Government officials were too embarrassed to admit that they had allowed such a thing to happen at the hands of a spy. Don't tell me they made the police rush the investigation. They did indeed, and then to cover up the sabotage, they cleaned up the story. And that was the Hat 1 miracle, wasn't it? But then 7 years later, the same MO, advance warning of sabotage. That must have been the director's reason for switching the launch pads. 7 years ago, the spy gave you advance warning of their plans, just like this time. That was what made you decide to switch the launch pads, wasn't it? That's right. The caller knew the facts of this case 7 years ago, despite the cover-up. They knew about the sabotage, the moon rock, the murder, and they said, "You don't want things to go like they did 7 years ago, do you?" I immediately thought of calling off the launch, but the government wouldn't let me. We don't give in to the likes of terrorists. We must proceed for our country's honor. It was quite a moving speech, actually. Moving? Really? Maybe if you're easily inspired by political talking points. But I knew the truth. We had been warned, which meant that the danger was very real. And I knew there was no way to stop the spy. No matter what I did, they would find a way. That's why I switched the launch pads and staged the moving rescue scene. First, I snuck into the center that night before and switched the launch pads. That way, the astronauts would go from boarding lounge 1 to the Space Museum, and I put a close for repair sign at the door to launch pad 1 and board lounge 2. You did that so normal visitors wouldn't enter, right? What else did you do? I enlisted the help of several staff members, including Terran. But you didn't let Mr. Starbuck in on it? He'd already been through enough, and he's no good at lying to keep a secret. I'm afraid I had no choice but to have him drugged. My plan went well until... Clay's murder, huh? After the culprit made their escape, I switched the launch pads back. I did it in such a way that no one would find out, but after all that effort... Terran is dead, and the hat too is destroyed. And the Hope capsule, which had returned to us only recently, was also lost in that blast. My home, the center of the cosmos. My beautiful Cosmos Space Center is done for! Wait, what did he mean by the Hope capsule was lost in that blast? I thought that the Hope capsule was found at the crime scene with Mr. Terran. It had just been brought back by the Hope space probe with asteroid samples inside. So what kind of samples are they? What's in them? The samples are scheduled for analysis in the near future. We haven't had time since I just came back the day before Terran's murder. The capsule was being held in a safe in Launch Pad 1, but I gave it to Terran before the incident so it wouldn't be destroyed in the explosion. The idea was that, with it safely in Terran's possession, he could make it look like he rescued it during the stage miraculous escape. But our precious research materials ended up lost to that explosive anyway. But I thought Clay was supposed to keep it safe. You misunderstand. The launch pad explosion wasn't the one the capsule was lost to. It was lost after the police confiscated it as evidence. It was the courtroom bombing from the other day. The capsule was there in the courtroom as evidence, and it was blown to smithereens. Yet another casualty of that blast. Ultimately, I think the culprit may have known about the switching of the launch pads. What? How? The police found a wiretapping device during their investigation today. A bug aboard my battleship tapped on my advanced communication system. Wire on that phone? Yes, a wire on this very phone. I used this phone to give instructions to my staff about the launch pad switch, just to the few select members who knew about the plan. Just before the incident, staff members were coming in and out of Launch Pad 1. The culprit probably slipped in with them amid the confusion, and planted the bomb then. Yes, if they were tapping your phone, they definitely could pull something like that off. So you really think the same spy is behind the incident and the one 7 years ago? Yes, I'm sure of it. Then the spy must be the phantom Prosecutor Blackwell has been chasing. But Prosecutor Blackwell told me once. The hunt I've been on for the phantom of 7 years past continues even still. For starters, that case happened right here at the very Space Center too. So if we can find this phantom, that's right, we can clear Athena's name. And then there's the matter of Prosecutor Blackwell too. What about him? Well, if the culprit of 7 years ago was the same person as in the current incident, it would mean Prosecutor Blackwell is innocent. That's still an if, though. I wonder how dangerous that guy would be in court without handcuffs. But if we're going on a ghost hunt, count me in.
Ha 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 ha, it's all over for me! Spin, spin, whirl, whirl, I'm done for! The center of the cosmos is doomed!
Do you think he's going to be alright, Daddy? Well, at least he'll be in good company. There must be planets out there he can spin with. Which reminds me, I'd like to delve a little deeper into the Hat 1 mission, too.
If you want to learn more, start with the Space Museum. There's a Hat 1 exhibit there.
Oh, don't mind me. I'll just keep spinning here and see how the cosmos unfolds. It's like he achieved spiritual enlightenment or something. I'm sure he'll stop when he gets dizzy. Let's go visit the Space Museum. Because I forgot to do it in the break, I'll do it here. Last night's Disney movie was another good one. It was another Pixar movie. This one took place in Paris, and it featured many, many chefs. Ones that Gordon Ramsay himself would even love. With the star chef being a rat for some reason. Crazy, huh? Yeah, last night's Disney Pixar film was Ratatouille. It's a good movie, and I liked it a lot. Very silly, very funny. I likes it. Did you guys like it? Those of you who are still here? If anyone is still here. Let's see. Where's the exhibit on the launch 7 years ago? There, that's the Hat 1 exhibit. Good one. Hey, D-Stappin'. Glad you've stuck around. Oh, wow, look at that photo of the team. Haven't actually seen it. Oh, it's good. You should see it sometime. It's a good one. Look at the photo of the team. Been a long time since you watched Frat French cuisine. Cannot spell that dish. Ratatouille. Not many people can. I can't imagine people can spell that one without, looking. There's Clay and Mr. Starbuck, Director Cosmos, Aura Blackquill, and even Ponko. But I've never seen the woman on the right before. Everybody looks so happy, well, except for Director Cosmos. Let's check out the newspaper article too. Hat 1 launch imminent, and there's a photo of the Hope space probe. I guess it's only natural it doesn't talk about the murderer or the sabotage. They really were keeping it a secret, just like the director said. Daddy, take a look at that jacket. Must be the Hat 1 team's uniform jacket. It's the same design as the one Apollo was wearing, the one that belonged to Clay. Actual jacket worn by a Hat 1 team member, it says. Replica, huh? I wonder if it was Mr. Starbucks. Hello? Well, the murderer. I knew it was her. Oh, Miss Woods, what brings you here? I heard Athena got arrested, so I've been looking for you, Mr. Wright. I thought you might be here, at the scene. You must be so worried, but rest assured, I'm going to do my very best to defend her. Athena's going through such a hard time. I hope she doesn't lose heart. Even just coming back to this place must have been really difficult for her. Huh? You mean the Cosmos Space Center? What? You didn't know? She used to live here, when she was a little girl. She did? No, I didn't know. No wonder she knew so much. Miss Woods, could you tell me more in detail? Well. Sneaks in. Hey, David. That wasn't Starbucks. That was our mystery. That was our mystery woman's. Yep. How you doing, David? It's good to see ya. Athena's mom worked here. If I remember right, she was a doctor of psychology or something like that. But why was a psychology specialist working at a space research facility? I don't really know. But I do know that she lived and worked here, so Athena lived here too. So it was far from Athena's first time here. I wonder why she didn't mention it. She probably didn't want to talk about it. This place is connected to a very sad memory for her. Sad memory. What's for dinner, by the way, David? Anything good? A sad memory. Can you tell me about it? There was a terrible incident here. It was 7 years ago. The same time frame as the Hat 1 launch. Then Athena's mom is in the robotics lab. She was murdered. What? After it happened, Athena stopped coming to school. Poor Athena, and all this time she never let on at all. I was so worried about her, I came here so many times, hoping to see her. Pepperoni pizza bites with very gooey cheese dip that you're pouring onto the bites. Aw, that sounds good. Lucky. Enjoy them, David. But I never saw her again. After a while, we started exchanging letters. But I didn't get to see her face to face for 7 long years. And so the first time you'd seen her in 7 years was during Professor Court's case? That's right, and I was so surprised. She was like a completely different person, so cheerful and happy. Young Athena. What was Athena like as a child? She was very sensitive and kind. She didn't talk very much. She liked to draw and paint at home. That's completely different from the Athena we know now. I can't even picture it. She never left the Space Center much because she was very sensitive to other people's emotions. When she went to crowded places, she'd get dizzy from all the emotions flying around. Must be hard to hear people's hearts as well as their voices. She always wore these big, heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother's made them for her as part of her research. Huh? I wonder what kind of research it was. Because of her special ability, Athena couldn't handle being in school very often. And I was always out sick because of my weak constitution. Maybe that's why we became such good friends. We used to play together here at the Space Center a lot. It brings back memories. Sounds like Athena's mother played a big role here at the Space Center. Oh, Daddy, show her that picture. That girl. Good idea. Atta girl. This one? Miss Woods, could you take a look at this for me? Oh, look, there's Athena's mom. The woman on the far right, the one in the kimono. That's Dr. Metis Sykes. Athena's mother's murder. Did it by any chance have any connection to the Hat 1 launch? What? Why, yes, it did. As I recall, it happened on the day before the launch, just as I suspected.
That wasn't the worst of it. One of my staff members was murdered.
So this is the murder Director Cosmos was talking about. Does that mean that the crime prosecutor Blackwell was convicted of is the murder of Athena's mother? There's a chance her death is somehow connected to the current case. There is? Thank you for all your help, Miss Woods, and please try not to worry. I won't let anything happen to Athena. Thank you, Mr. Wright. I know you'll take good care of her. So, we need to investigate the robotics lab and also talk to Athena. We got our plates full, Daddy. Hope we can fit it all in before the day is through. The detention center first, then. We have to see Athena before visiting hours are over. Your cheese dip is made of a blend of Carolina Reaper cheese, salt, bit of milk, a few squirts of Italian dressing, then melted together and stirred. Sounds good. Maybe not the spiciness part, but I bet you love it, though, David. I bet you are enjoying it gigantically.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Lawyer, fancy meeting you here.
Oh, hello, Detective Fulbright. Here on business?
To tell the truth, I'm here to interview Ted Tonate, the one behind the courtroom bombing incident. He suddenly said he's ready to tell the truth about the case, and what he was saying was so incredible I just had to come right over to hear more.
Incredible? What was he saying?
Why don't you hang around and hear it for yourself?
Really? Us? Are you sure?
Ha ha ha, I give you my special permission. Here comes the bomber now.
Haha. What nerve you have to come here? You're here to laugh at me, I suppose.
Like I'd waste my breath on you. After all, you're the one who assaulted Apollo and put him in the hospital.
Violence, no. Question, okay. No violence? Too bad Apollo didn't get a chance to say that before you attacked him.
Fine, then just answer me this, Mr. Tonate. What is this truth of yours about the courtroom you blew up?
No, I didn't do it. I didn't blow up the courtroom. When I killed Detective Arm, there was another person in the room.
What are you talking about? Who else could have been there?
I saw it, I tell you. I saw someone's hand as they were stealing the remote switch. This person was there and witnessed the murder I committed.
What?
I don't know who it was.
But that's who I blew up the courtroom.
You expect us to buy that? Easy there, Chusey. I don't see any psyche locks, so I guess he must not be lying. Pardon me, I got a little carried away, but I'm telling you the truth. I did not detonate that bomb.
And there you have it. We can't exactly ignore his claims, of course, so we're doing a follow-up. We're even analyzing the bomb itself for what's left of it. We haven't found any new facts yet, though. Wow, they've laid it all out piece by piece.
Oh, look at all those beautiful little pieces. I wish I could have them.
Uh-oh, looks like his geek switch has been activated.
Phony Fanty Bomb.
I don't want to talk to that guy anymore. He's already on the list.
Ultima's a bomb. How did that happen?
I'm not a bomb, I'm
The bomb. Ha 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 ha. Well, I hope you're ready for Prosecutor Blackwell's special brand of questioning.
Anything but that.
I'm afraid I have to be off now, too. I was just about to question Miss Sykes.
You're going to see Athena now?
That's right. Oh, did you folks come to see her? Sorry for the trouble, but could you come back later? Well, off I go.
What bad timing. Looks like we'll have to wait until after her questioning is over to see her. And after we came all this way too. Well, I guess it's back to the Space Center. Let's go check out the robotics lab, Daddy. Alright, sounds like a plan. Let's get the flip. Whoops. Let's get the flip to the robotics lab. Mother people.
Whoa, look at this place.
Who done it? Ultima dids it?
Now I'm trying to find who dids.
So this is the robotics lab, huh? Looks like it's exactly one floor above the boarding lounge. And where people were directing to evacuate from via the emergency ladder. This is where Athena's mother was killed 7 years ago. Speaking of someone who works with robots... Daddy, look! Over there!
Whoa. Apollo! So they plan to use this bag to carry the capsule, is that right?
Yeah, more or less. Say, why don't we stop talking about the case and have a nice cup of tea instead? Apollo and Aura Blackwell? I wonder what they're talking about. Well, come to spoil our fun, just when I was enjoying our time alone.
Chusey and Mr. Wright.
Domo arigato.
Suckers.
Yep.
If it's Apollo you want, you can't have him. He said he's investigating on his own.
And I respect his wishes. We just came to investigate this lab.
Well, this is my lab, so you'll need my permission if you want to go do any snooping. I heard about the trial. You made mincemeat out of the director. And suddenly, Starbug was out and your little subordinate, the princess, was in. Case closed, and they all lived happily ever after. Ha ha ha. Grr, Daddy, just say something to her. I suppose you're going to defend the princess in court, am I right?
The princess, huh? Guess she's talking about Athena. Of course, Athena is innocent.
Oh my, such loyalty and trust. She seems pretty suspicious to me, though. The emotionally unstable princess. There's your culprit for you. Don't you agree, Apollo?
I don't know yet.
Apollo, how could you? What's wrong with saying I don't know if it's true? It's a very scientific approach. Your subordinate is more level-headed than you, or should I say, former subordinate.
I can't believe it. Does Apollo really suspect Athena?
Phew, all this laughing has worn me out. Your turn to say something, hunk-a-junk. Mr. Terran, you look pale. Shall I help you to the sickbay?
Mr. Terran? But that's Apollo you're talking to.
Oh, this hunk-a-junk here is mistaking Apollo for Clay. Maybe Apollo was possessed by Clay's ghost. Mr. Terran, how are you? Injuries? Mr. Terran? Mr. Terran, how are your injuries? Mr. Terran? I guess Clay intends to hang around to haunt the princess that murdered him. Oh, and to haunt the lawyer that defends her, too.
Of course.
A robot that can see ghosts? Yeah, right. And I'm a spirit medium.
Sorry, but apparently scientists just don't tell very frightening ghost stories. I intend to defend Athena, no matter what you have to say about it. How perfectly foolish. That kind of blind belief makes people lose sight of the truth. Just like 7 years ago. Could you tell me about the incident 7 years ago? Why? Do you enjoy trampling on people's feelings and rubbing salt in their wounds? Or do you just want me to talk? Is that in that case, what should I ask for in return?
I'd like to hear about that incident too. It'd help me understand the current case better.
Huh? Apollo knows about that case too? Well, if you're the one who's asking, Apollo, come on, hunk of junk. You tell the story. But Miss Aura, that's private information. Tisk, if you won't talk, I'll just have to make you talk.
God, yes, who cares about personal privacy? Not me. I am ready to utilize my blast processing ability to impart all available information.
Wow, what a magic trick. He's like a completely different robot now.
The bodies of all the robots that come through the lab are designed by Miss Aura. I was born 7 years ago. Miss Aura was much, much younger then.
Yikes, better watch what you say if you don't want to get recycled, Clonko.
And then our hearts were created by that Greek genius, Dr. Metis Sykes.
Hearts? Robots with hearts? Can you even make such a thing?
Emotions are not irrational things. Our logic and our hearts can be integrated. The two navigation companies created by Miss Aura and Dr. Metis and transcend humans. Gak.
Metis. Huh? She just glanced over at her desk. Nobody could continue Metis's research. She and her work were surely one of a kind, and now the two navigation companions are all that are left of Metis here on Earth. The robots are all that's left? Isn't she leaving out a very important someone? We built the ultimate creations together, but now she's gone. I get the feeling Dr. Sykes loved her robots almost as much as she loved her daughter. And almost as much as she loved you. What are you talking about? Don't make me laugh. But you lost someone too, didn't you, Apollo? Your friend Clay. I guess you and I are pretty much in the same boat. Miss Aura, would you like a tissue?
Keep your trap shut, hunk of junk.
Clonko and Punko. Clonko is an important keepsake of your time with Dr. Sykes. You should treat him better. What does it matter? He doesn't feel pain, and I can always repair his body. Besides, their hearts aren't actually in their bodies.
What do you mean by that?
The program Metis wrote runs on a separate mainframe. Their bodies are controlled remotely from there. Their hearts and memories are there too. These bodies are really just peripherals, so I can do anything I want to them. I'm not so sure that gives you the right to physically abuse the poor things. But why are you people looking into such an old case now anyway? Well, we believe the culprit of that incident might be the same person as in this case. So Daddy's going to find out who killed Dr. Sykes too. I'm sure you're aware of who Metis's killer is. Yes, Prosecutor Blackwell, or so it seems. That's a quaint way of putting it. Are you implying you don't think he did it? I can't say anything for sure right now, but that's exactly why I'd like to hear your side of it, to help me for sure. Okay. I was the one who introduced Simon to Metis, you know. He wanted to learn psychology, he said, to give himself an edge in court. Prosecutor Blackwell's forte, his infamous power of suggestion technique. Exactly, and he was oddly serious about it, rather than a teacher-student relationship. He treated her more like how a loyal samurai would treat his sovereign. Huh? He seemed more like a lost soul than a dignified samurai to me. Even got along well with that miserable little princess. Why do you call Athena the princess anyway? Well, she is Metis's daughter after all, although she's nothing like her. Besides, doesn't the selfish little princess always have a lot of white knights hanging around? Now I think I see why Athena didn't say anything when we ran into Aura yesterday. It all makes sense now. So the culprit behind the two cases could be the same, huh? That settles it then. What does it settle? None of your business. Just forget you heard anything. How long are you people going to hang around here anyway? What? But we came here to take a look around. You think you can just waltz in and ransack a person's lab? Show me a research warrant. We're not the police, so we don't have one.
Then get out, now. Clonko, show them out.
Certainly, Miss Aura.
Ouch! Don't push. My apologies. I'm just following orders. Arg.
Oh dear.
What a way to get shown out. The nerve of that woman. What's with that horrible attitude?
Guess that's just how she is. And why was Apollo going along with her? I guess it's because they have something in common. Apollo lost Clay, just like how Aura lost Dr. Sykes. I'm really worried about him. He's not himself at all. He's usually not all cool and dark and mysterious like that. I guess that's true. Does she mean he's usually silly and dorky? I'm going to go keep an eye on him. Hey, wait, Juicy, come back. She's gone. What should I do now? Detective Fulbright is probably still questioning Athena. Guess I'll go back to the office. Alone. Alone. All alone. Well, here I am. This office has never felt so empty. Guess I haven't been here at the office all by myself in a long time. When I first became a lawyer, my mentor was here with me. And then for a while after that, she was always by my side. Now I'm getting all sentimental. Must be tired. Huh? There's something on the floor. What's a letter doing here? Hey Nick, it's been a while, huh? Miss me? I know this handwriting. I read somewhere that you were holding a trial in the middle of an exploding courtroom? That must have really been something, although weird is par for the course with you. I think she, or whatever paper she's reading, is a little off on the details. I'd love to come visit, but I'm right in the middle of a difficult part of my training. So instead, think of me as you watch those Steel Samurai videos I sent. I'm sure they'll cheer you right up. Yours truly, Maya Fey. Maya Fey, guys! Name drop! Good old Maya. It's as if she knew I was feeling down and needed a lift. Aww. Maya was my assistant for quite a while. Believe it or not, but she's a spirit medium. The Magatama I use on Psyche Locks, Maya is the one who gave it to me. But I wonder how this letter got here. Mr. Nick? Ag! Eek! Oh, it's you, Pearls. Well, look who's back, guys. Little Pearly, who still looks little, by the way. Even though she's... okay, we can't see her age yet. Wow, she looks adorable in her teen years. How have you been, Mr. Nick? This is Pearl Fey, though I call her Pearls. She is Maya's cousin, who is also a spirit medium. A very talented one at that. I've known her since she was 8 years old, but Apollo and Athena only met her a few months ago. You didn't come all this way just to bring me a letter, did you? I apologize for barging in, the door was unlocked. But I can't believe there was a big explosion here. Your office doesn't look any different. She's even further off on the details than Maya. She's 17 now. She still looks like a little girl, though. I wish I could take you out to eat or something, Pearls, but there's a lot going on. Oh, I knew that. I didn't come here for a social visit, you know, Mr. Nick. Pearls' errand. Did you read the postscript on the letter? Huh? There's more? Oh yeah, here it is. P.S. I bet you've been too busy to clean or take care of the office, so Pearly said she would come to help you. Isn't she sweet? You better thank her. Oh, so that's what you're doing here. That's awfully nice of you, Pearls. Maya and Pearls, thanks to these two, I'm starting to feel a little better. Thank you, girls. Now that I'm here, I'm going to whip this place into shape. You just concentrate on your work and don't mind me at all. I'll need you to talk to Prosecutor Blackwell if I want to learn more about this case. Or I'll need to talk to. With the trial still going on, they must be holding him down at the detention center. What to do, Pearls? Has it been a while since you've seen Mystic Maya? Yes, quite a while. She used to stop by the office sometimes to say hello. But she hasn't been by recently. I wonder what she's up to these days. To become a spirit medium worthy of heading the Fae clan, she undergoes rigorous training. She's getting ready for the 6th game. But she says she's growing really tired of the vegetarian diet. I'll have to have some burgers delivered to her then. Oh, I'm sure she would love that. But to get where she is, the delivery person would have to climb a steep mountain. Hope she tips them well then. Your hair is nice and spiky today as always, Mr. Nick. Thanks. I generally try to look good if I'm going to be in court. Do you make it spiky so that the prosecution will feel intimidated? Huh? No, that's not exactly my intention. Your hairstyle is to make you look bigger and stronger, just like a rooster's comb, right? That's what Mystic Maya says, anyway. She gonna compare it to something cool like a lion's mane? No. Well, new person we're traveling with, guys. Pearl Faye.
17 still looks like that. Mia got all the genes for the top half of the body in the family.
Yep, Mia got everything. Well, look who's here. I wonder what they're talking about. All this time and you haven't said a word. It's even turning your hair gray. I don't have anything to say, Aura. Why don't you go home and play with your dolls? Prosecutor Blackwell? Well, even if you don't, I have plenty, you jerk. Miss Blackwell, don't you think that's enough for today? Enough for today? Today is all there is when there's no tomorrow. When there's no tomorrow? What is she talking about? We have company, Aura. Please try to calm down. Alright, fine. I see you're just not going to listen no matter what I say. I've had it. If that's the way you're going to be, I have another plan up my sleeve. Hope you're happy, Simon, because I'm done.
Do as you please. See if I care.
Wow. I could cut the tension with the katana. Right, Dono. It looks like Fulbright saved your case in court this morning. What? Oh, yeah, he did. You bounced back to business quick. But Prosecutor Blackwell, forgive me, but it was just the just thing to do. But, as a result, Sykes Dono was arrested. Was that the just thing to do, too? Mr. Lawyer, I'm sorry, but it was evidence. What else could I do? Don't worry about it. I plan to defend her and prove her innocence. I wouldn't take the thing so lightly if I were you. Right, Dono? This is blade-proof glass, right? Right? Prosecutor Blackwell, we're looking into the case from 7 years ago. You're looking for somebody you call the Phantom of 7 Years Past, aren't you? You villain. Where did you hear about that? This glass is absolutely positively blade-proof. Blade-proof, right? No, it wasn't me. I didn't say a single Oops. Ouch. At least it wasn't my fault. Could you tell me who this Phantom is? And also, you didn't really kill Dr. Sykes, did you? Guard, the guest is leaving. Prosecutor Blackwell, please listen to me. The culprit in the current case might be the same as the one in the case 7 years ago. If you would cooperate, we could probably solve both cases. I suppose I could talk. The one who killed my mentor was, without question, me. I stole Sykes Dono's mother away from her. I destroyed her life. Prosecutor Blackwell. Guard, where are you? Stop dragging your feet, I tell you. Well. There he goes. No, we've upset Prosecutor Blackwell. Now what are we going to do, Mr. Lawyer? There isn't much we can do. Detective Fulbright, do you mind if I ask you just a little more about that old case? Well, I guess it won't make any difference now. What would you like to know? Do you know anything about the trial that got him convicted? A little. The police call the incident the UR1 incident. Prosecutor Blackwell was charged with murdering a psychology mentor. Kind of like if your read Mr. Lawyer were to kill you. I don't want to think about that one. There were 2 decisive pieces of evidence, so a verdict was reached very quickly. 2 pieces of evidence, huh? Where were they? Let's see. The first was some security camera footage. He was the only one who used the corridor to the murder scene of the time of the crime. The only one, huh? Ouch, that does sound pretty decisive. Could you show me that footage? Oh, sorry, I don't have it with me right now. I guess I'll have to see it some other time. And what was the second piece of evidence? This one's even more incriminating. A photo of the moment of the crime. See, there he is at the crime scene holding a bloody katana. It was the victim's, kept on display in the room. She had a thing for Japanese culture. What? Wow. It'd be hard to explain this one away. But who took this picture, Detective? The incident happened the day before the @1 launch. A reporter who had come to do a story on the launch was in the room across from the lab. This just happened to show up in one of the pictures he took. Prosecutor Blackquill's attitude earlier was so odd. He's definitely hiding something. Prosecutor Blackquill said he was hunting a fandom from 7 years ago, didn't he? Yes, and I imagine it's getting more and more urgent as his execution date approaches. What did you just say? Execution date? What? Did I say something? Never mind me, you didn't hear a thing. Not good. So he was given the death sentence. Yes, he told me to not tell you people, actually. But I guess there's no sense hiding it anymore. His execution date is tomorrow. What? Tomorrow? No. Miss Blackquill, don't you think that's enough for today? Enough for today? Today is all there is when there's no tomorrow. But what if the culprit of the current case is the same as the one from 7 years ago? Then it would be the worst possible scenario. Prosecutor Blackquill would be executed tomorrow under a false charge. But that would be unthinkable. We have to do something, right now. I want to do something, I want to, but... You're a lawyer, you know how hard it is to overturn a decision. I know, but why? Why isn't Prosecutor Blackquill putting up any kind of a fight? You saw how he was, right? He has been like that ever since his conviction. Totally uncooperative, not even his own sister could persuade him. Uncooperative. What's he's about to be executed for a crime he didn't commit? When he's... This isn't right. I can't let it happen. I have to stop it somehow. Oh, pardon me. Looks like I have a phone call. Fulbright here? What? What's happening? You've got to be kidding! That's quite a reaction. I bet he's making some big show of it right now. But Mr. Lawyer, the robots are... Detective Fulbright, get a hold of yourself. Some kind of robot malfunction? Not a malfunction. They're staging a revolt. The machines are rebelling against humans. They've holed themselves up in the Space Center and taken the visitors as hostages. They did what? No. Chusey! Uh-oh. We have to get right over there. This is going to be one heck of a battle. Is that bad, guys? That's bad, right? The riot police are here. Then the robots really are holding people hostage? Look, Mr. Lawyer, what do you suppose that group of people are swarmed around? But I was only trying to help this nice person. She said she was lost. The robots have declared war on us humans. You've even taken hostages already. Stay away from it. You never know what it'll do. But he's not a bad robot. Can't you see he's just trying to help me? I recognize that voice. Detective Fulbright, are you okay here on your own? Leave it to me. All right, people. What's going on here? Pearls, over here. Oh, Mr. Nick, there you are. I heard the terrible news and I got so worried. Thanks, Pearls. I can hardly believe what's happening myself. I'm so glad you found each other. When people are happy, I am happy. Clonko seems the same as before. When people are sad, I am happy. When people are angry, when people are... Oh, did I say something odd? Did I? Error. Uh-oh, there is something wrong with him. The AI have risen, the singularity is here. Bow before your overlords. Yep, the robots have taken over. Were. Looks like he fell asleep. He must have been tired. He. Ha 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 ha. Klanko?
Oh. Ha ha ha. Human beings are our enemies. It's time for the machines to take over. Ah! The robots are rebelling.
Everybody run! Eek!
It's an all-out war. It's the end of the world. Ha 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 ha. Fools, how could you fall for something so cliche? I'm human too, you idiots. I'm just controlling these robots remotely.
What? But it is true that I've taken hostages, so you better not make me mad. Hey you, hostage number 1, come here, I'll let you talk to them. Huh? There's something being displayed on Klanko's face screen. It's the Space Museum. Daddy? Daddy, is that you? Trucy? Trucy, is that you? No. Trucy, are you alright? About 15 robots are holding 12 of us hostage, Daddy. They've gone haywire. A researcher is the one behind it. She's here Eek!
Grr, this girl talks too much.
Trucy, talk to me. Why are you doing this? I'm glad you asked. My demand is simple. I hope that detective is listening.
Bobby Fulbright here. I'm all ears.
I want you to bring someone to me. Clay Turan's murderer, Athena Sykes. Athena?
Now hold on just one moment. I can't just give in to a demand like that.
So you don't care what happens to these hostages, huh? I'll just pick one out then.
No, wait. Mr. Lawyer. I know I have absolutely no right to make such a ridiculous request, but you need me to buy some time, right?
Got it. I'll see what I can do. But promise me you'll never hand Athena over, and you won't give up on the hostages either.
Of course I won't. Now I better go contact headquarters.
Mr. Nick, how do you plan to buy time?
I have no idea yet, but this hostage taker, could it be?
If you don't bring me that little princess, I'll have Hunk-a-Junk kill all the hostages.
Princess? Hunk-a-Junk? There's only one person this could be. In which case, there must be something I can use as a bargaining chip. I don't have anything to say, Aura. Why don't you go home and play with your dolls?
Prosecutor Blackwell. Well, even if you don't, I have plenty, you jerk. So how in trouble is Aura right now? Miss Hostage Taker, Athena is not a murderer. What are you talking about? She's been arrested and they got her in detention.
I'm telling you the truth.
Look, the person you want is the real killer, right?
Well, it's not Athena. It's someone else.
Alright, let's hear your stupid little theory. Who is this real killer?
I don't know yet, but the culprit is the same as the one in the case from 7 years ago.
The Year 1 incident, I believe you have a personal interest in that case. She's now a terrorist for holding hostages at a government research and development center. Welp! Guess she's going to prison too. It's too late to change what's going to happen now, no matter how wrong it is.
But is it really too late? You can still do something about it.
You might even be able to fix it. Just what exactly are you proposing?
What can I do about the 7-year-old case to satisfy the hostage taker? Retry it in court.
I propose we retry the case from 7 years ago. If you make that demand now, I'm sure nobody will deny you. It wouldn't be an official trial, but at least we could find out the truth. Hee hee hee. Ha 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 ha. That's good, real good. Hey detective, I'll give you 1 hour. Get a courtroom ready.
1 hour? But that's impossible. Please give me at least until tomorrow.
If you don't mind losing hostages, you can take all the time you want. Oh, but wait. We're going to have a retrial. We'll need a prosecutor. Don't worry, I'll take care of that.
She will?
And I guess I can be fair and let you come in and check out the crime scene. The Hunk-a-Junk here will be watching you, so don't try anything funny.
You got it.
Now follow Hunk-a-Junk.
Riot police, make way. We're coming through.
Mr. Nick, wait. I'll help you with the investigation.
Thanks, Pearls. I appreciate that. Okay, we're going in.
Oh my gosh, guys. This is just insane, is it? Aura dropped us off with a warning not to touch anything until she got back. I wonder what's taking so long, but we can't really start the investigation yet, can we? Even if we could, this mess makes it hard to tell what the room was like 7 years ago. Mr. Wright?
Ack, it's the hostage taker.
I'm back to my usual self now. You are still being monitored, however. But more importantly, an important guest has arrived.
A guest? Ooh.
He's back!
I trust you've been well, Wright.
Edgeworth is back! Edgeworth, what are you doing here? This is Miles Edgeworth. We've been friends since we were kids. We've faced off in court a number of times back when he was a prosecutor. But now... Hello, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Oh, but you're not a prosecutor anymore, are you? He's Chief Prosecutor now. Pretty soon it'll be a year, right? A title is nothing more than a title. Don't we have more pressing issues to discuss? Ah, and you thought he'd just be name-dropped, Captain Chips? He's here. He's here. So what are you doing here, Edgeworth? The captor chose me as the prosecutor for the UR1 case. Wow, she's good. She went all the way up to the top. I gathered all the information I could in the short time that I had. I'll give you a rundown. You're always so well prepared, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Thanks. I appreciate this. I could really use the help. I'll start with a brief overview. The victim was the psychologist Dr. Metis Sykes. Yeah, Athena's mother. Seven years ago, on the 7th of October, her body was found here in this very room. I have 2 crime photos and the police notes on them for you to see. There's the old music in the background, too. Gasp! What a terrible way to die! This other photo shows the other side of the room, I see. I also have the autopsy report for you. Stab wound to the chest, the weapon pierced the heart, and so death was instantaneous. The murder weapon was the victim's own katana found at the scene. Yes, Detective Fulbright mentioned she was into Japanese culture. The body was found by a Space Center staff member and 2 police officers. The police were called in because of the sabotage threat on the Hat 1 launch. Yes, Director Cosmos mentioned this too. A few hours after the body was discovered, a suspect was arrested. The suspect was Simon Blackwell, a young prosecutor. I hear his trial was over in a flash. Yes, a guilty verdict was declared in only one session. Not only did he plead guilty, but there was decisive evidence against him too. The security camera video, and a photo of the moment of the crime, as I recall. But did Prosecutor Blackwell have a motive? To this day, his motive is still unknown. He insisted he did it, but he never would say why. So that means he must still be hiding something. Right, and there's another aspect of the case that was never revealed to the public. Yeah, I know. The part about the spy, right? Right. How on earth do you know about that? Director Cosmos told me after a bit of pressure. He told me espionage and sabotage were behind the Hat 1 miracle. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. I've always been good at keeping secrets. Well, I might as well tell you now. They really do suspect Blackwell of being a spy. They think he sabotaged the rocket and killed Dr. Sykes to steal the moon rock. But if you can prove that the Hat 2 bombing is the work of the same spy, we can say the execution? Stay the execution? Who was the prosecutor for that case? Who knows? Random McRandom person. It was Winston Payne, we'll say. It's a possibility. That's why I intend to help you any way I can. Thanks, Edgeworth. Now all I have to do is comb this room for evidence. Let's do it together. Yeah!
Always awesome to see Edgy back. If only the gumshoe was here too. Only Winston would be handed an open-shut case like that. Yep. Aura's desk is a mess, although that doesn't surprise me. Ooh, I just want to dive in and straighten it up. Wait, before you do... Metis. Huh? She just glanced over at her desk. It's Metis Sykes. Clunko, can I talk to you? I really hope he's back to normal. You wish to speak to me, Mr. Wright? If you're going to hit me, please avoid the face area. Hey, don't put me in the same class as that woman. What was Aura like 7 years ago at the time of the incident? When Mother died, Miss Aura was confused. Huh? So he calls Dr. Sykes Mother, but Aura Blackquill Miss Aura? With the loss, she exhibited a severe catclomane imbalance. Can't read that word. Excuse me, but I have no idea what that means. Pardon me, searching for alternative expression. She would spend the nights crying and then take out her feelings on those around her. After Prosecutor Blackquill was found guilty, she repeatedly demanded a retrial as well. That is correct, but without new evidence, her requests were ignored. And then, little by little, Miss Aura began to change. She started to hate it when I called her Mama Aura. And before long, she started hating the court system and abusing Clunko, huh? That murder destroyed so many lives. Right. Take a look at this paper on Dr. Sykes and Miss Blackwell's research. Ponko and Clunko, they're the robots with hearts that Dr. Sykes created. Presence of a human with their heartbeat, people by scanning their heartbeat detection system that lets them determine when a human is present. In addition, they can recognize people by their ID tag or facial features, and they can infer people's emotions by analyzing their tone of voice. That's amazing! Hey, I don't know, Edgeworth. They might even be more human than you. What's that supposed to mean? It kind of sounds like these robots can do what Athena does. Just for fun, I want to do something real quick. Present my badge. It must be nice to finally have your attorney's badge back. Yeah, it's been 8 years. I'm sorry for all I put you through. No, I'm sorry I wasn't able to help you. Nah, I was the one that made the decision. But now you can stand in court once again, and you can mow them down just like you used to. What way to put pressure on a guy, and since when did I get such a brutal reputation? Oh man, alright, let's examine again. Examine. There's a lot of she's to examine. It looks like an operating table. It's in the photo too. Yes, it was here then as well, with the victim's body lying on it. There's a button here. Oh, I know. I'll try pushing it. Pearls, don't touch that. Oopsie. Hey, it's moving. It appears to be a robot assembling device. Disassemble anything in a flash. Push the dismantle button. That sounds pretty neat. Can I push it, Mr. Nick? Please don't push any more buttons, Pearls. It just made a new robot. Wow. That is some shiz right there. An emergency ladder. This must be one they used during the evacuation. The explosion disabled the elevators, so I lowered my emergency ladder like the detective leading the evacuation told me to. As Miss Blackwell was climbing down the side of the building, she saw the culprit inside. I wonder which would have been scarier, that or looking down. Haha, good question. I guess... Oh, there's a thing here. Oh, look, it's a little robot. I wonder what it does. Cleaning, maybe? A cleaning robot must follow a human's orders as long as it causes no human harm. Yikes, it talks. A cleaning robot must keep desks clean without violating the preceding clause. However, Miss Aura says she prefers a moderate level of clutter on the desk. Oh, what is the purpose of my existence?
I guess slack off and cut some corners aren't in his vocabulary bank. That poor robot. What is my life? What is my purpose? Look at this robot. Wow. This is one heck of a robot. There's something written on it. Is this supposed to be a poem? I cut down anyone who displeases me. I make the rules. I am the law. I wield the ultimate gavel of judgment. I am Judgetron, JTO2. I don't believe we need to bother with that, Pearl. It's not even complete yet. He's right, Pearls. There's no sign of it in the photo from 7 years ago either. They were building the Hope space probe here at the time. The murder occurred after the space probe has been removed from the room, so it was long gone by the time someone took this picture, huh? But you can see the probe in this newspaper photo. Yes, and you can see the stolen moon rock there too. That strange black and yellow thing on the left side of the picture? Note that the same rock is absent from the crime scene photo. What is my purpose, you pest spotter? Oh my god! Not only that, but before the launch, a very valuable piece of moon rock was stolen. I hear that there's lots of research into moon rocks and stardust from asteroids these days. They say the results could potentially have a huge impact on all of civilization. It's like we're in a new space race with every other country out there. So the person who stole it, think it was our spy? I'm sure of it. Dr. Sykes was probably killed because she was a roadblock in their plan. Unfortunately, the government thinks Prosecutor Blackwell is the culprit. Well, what a splendid thing. What's this? It looks like a giant power plug. It's attached to what looks like an electric vehicle charging station. That's the charging station for us robots. We come here periodically and charge ourselves up. Wow, machines that maintain themselves. That's pretty cool. If our batteries run out and we lose consciousness, we never know what Miss Aura will do to us while we're down, you see. Nothing motivates quite like fear, huh? Sheesh. What's this? A giant robot arm? Maybe? It's pretty big for an arm, but you're right. I think these thin parts here are finger bones. They're even about as long as my legs. And there's a spiked ball and a giant drill on the floor, too. Is Aura trying to build some kind of weapon of mass destruction? Maybe she wants to use it to demolish a big building or something. I can picture her gleefully tearing down the street doing just that. I better not think about it anymore. Yeah, I don't know if she'll be leaving the jail if she gets caught at this point. Hey, look at this row of rolling cases. I bet the wheels make it easier for people to move heavy research materials around. I bet they'd be fun to ride around in. We could even probably both fit in the biggest one. I know, we could have Prosecutor Edgeworth push us. I don't trust him not to push us down a flight of stairs. Oh, Pearl, she's still a kid at heart. It's about as cluttered as my office, but I think it's a workbench. Mr. Nick, I think this must be a kitchen. Look at this photo. See the cute little food processor? That isn't a food processor, Pearls. That's the Hope capsule. It was scheduled to be loaded onto the Hope space probe that fateful day. The 3 people who came to collect the capsule discovered the body. The first one on the scene, huh? A staff member and 2 police officers, was it? And they were here to collect the capsule, which reminds me. So, they plan to use this bag to carry the capsule, is that right? Yeah, more or less. Say, why don't we stop talking about the case and have a nice cup of tea instead? Apollo and Aura Blackwell. I wonder what they're talking about. Edgeworth, did those 3 people have a bag with them for transporting the capsule? Oh, you mean this. It's a custom-made shock-resistant bag. But how did you know? Oh, I just overheard Apollo making an inquiry about it. That's all. So he's looking into the case from 7 years ago on his own, is he? Okay. Well, I guess that's about it for this room. So what do you think, Mr. Wright? Any ideas? There are still a lot of gaps in the evidence, but I'll pull it off somehow. After all, you asked me to prove Blackwell's innocent, right, Edgeworth? What? He did? Yep. He called it a special request. He reached out to me while I was still disbarred. So that was what sparked you to get your attorney's badge back?
Yep, the Black Quill case. Right, I have a special request. I want you to clear one of my subordinates of suspicion.
Hey, I'm not even a lawyer anymore, remember? Haven't been one for a long time.
That 8-year misunderstanding has been cleared up, and you must be eager to return. I'm sure you're familiar with the other case that ushered in the dark age of the law. Very soon a convict will stand as a prosecutor in court. I want you to keep an eye on him.
Aw, just when I'm beginning to actually like the job I have now.
Right. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. Because of the espionage aspect, I wasn't free to give you all the details.
Hey, no need to apologize. It's like I said on the phone the other day. I know that the type of criminals you're after now aren't small fries anymore.
Looks like your target finally decided to make a move.
Yeah, it's for this very reason I returned.
This was a scene at the beginning of the game, by the way. Time to bring it to an end. I'm going to end the dark age of the law. That's what this is all about. The dark age of the law.
The dark age of the law. It sure comes up a lot on these days on TV and in the papers. And I hear there are more false charges and fabrication of evidence than ever.
When I became chief prosecutor, the court system had already lost the people's trust. It all began 8 years ago. A lawyer was caught fabricating evidence, and a year after that, a prosecutor was found guilty of murder.
Wait, do you mean...
That's right. He's talking about my case and Prosecutor Blackwell's. It was a downward spiral after that, an absolute nightmare. After those 2 cases, the mass media launched an all-out attack on the courts. Public opinion was tainted, and before long, the legal world itself was sucked into it.
It's such a shame. Once suspicion forms, it's very hard to shake. Lawyers and prosecutors were supposed to trust each other, pursue the truth together. It's so sad when people begin to cast doubt. They start lying to themselves and each other.
Yes, and do absolutely anything to win. We're in an age now where winning is valued far more than the truth. I'm sure it's caused our new chief prosecutor to lose many a night's rest.
Is it just me, or did his brow get even more furrowed than the last time I saw him?
The hostage-taker's disdain for the courts is a perfect example of the times.
It sure is.
Do you have any idea who the hostage-taker might be?
Well, somebody who mistrusts the court system and who can manipulate robots. It can really only be Aura Blackquill.
Who else but her would want a retrial of that case from 7 years ago so badly? Simon Blackwell's older sister and the owner of this room. I agree with your conclusion.
Perhaps she intended to force Miss Sykes to confess. Actually, I think she had a much more horrific plan in mind for Athena.
The important thing is for you to solve UR1 and prove Blackwell's innocence.
And then maybe she'll release the hostages.
I'm counting on you, Wright, to set that prosecutor and those hostages free.
And I'll be counting on you in court to help me too.
Of course, I'll do everything I can to help uncover the truth. As this isn't an official trial, I'm more at liberty to be a little unorthodox.
Mr. Wright, are you finished with your investigation? Yeah, but I'd like you to tell the hostage taker something for me. I have to go to the detention center. I can't start the trial until I've talked to Athena. She's already given her consent. I'll accompany you to the detention center.
So I'm still being watched, huh? I'll see you in court, Edgeworth.
So yeah, we're facing Edgeworth in court tomorrow too.
Even if it will be an undocumented trial, it'll be good to face you in court again. Yep, unorthodox, edgy.
By the way, who's up for one more twist?
She was right by my side only a few short hours ago, but I feel like I haven't seen her in ages.
Oh, Mr. Wright. And Pearly, too. I knew you would come. After all, the first step is the interview with the defendant. And because you're my friend and I was worried about you. Thanks, boss. I'm not the only one who's worried either. Really? Who else? I saw Miss Woods today. She was so beside herself, she came to find me. She told me you used to live in the Cosmos Space Center. No wonder you knew so much about the place. Oh, so you know, huh? I'm so sorry I didn't tell you. That's alright, but there are some other things I'd like to ask you. Sure, you can ask me anything. I promise I won't keep any more secrets from you. Tell me about the day Clay was murdered. I was actually at the Space Center that day. In the Space Museum. Right where the culprit fled to? That's not good. I never could fully deal with what happened 7 years ago. But when I saw the center again during the news coverage of the Hat 2 launch, I thought maybe if I went there, things would be different this time. That must have taken a lot of courage to face your past like that. So I went to the Space Museum the evening before the explosions. This was before the launch pads had been switched. There was a sign that said closed for repairs, and they weren't letting anybody in. Yeah, the director couldn't very well switch the pads if there were people in there. But I snuck in anyway. Did you want to see that Hat 1 group photo? The one with your mother in it? I did, but what I really wanted to see was her jacket. That jacket on display, that was Dr. Sykes's. But I should have known it would have been easy to get over such a traumatic experience. The second I saw that jacket, it all came rushing back to me. Everything around me went hazy and I couldn't see. I tried to get out of there somehow, but I guess I passed out. When I came to, I was in the passage behind the rocket. I was in the shadows where people couldn't really see me. Maybe you got confused and went the wrong way when you were trying to leave? How long do you think you were unconscious, Athena? I was out until about noon of the next day. I didn't even know about the explosions. When I woke up, nobody was around, so I just went out into the boarding lounge too. My mind must have still been fuzzy because my memory is vague after that. I don't remember how I got home. No memory, huh? This is gonna be tough. Which means, what if I'm the one who killed Clay? I think that's enough of that, Athena. Let's talk about something else. So, during the entire incident, she was unconscious in the Space Museum. Of course I believe her. But will anybody else? Your mother's work. What kind of research was Dr. Sykes, your mother, doing? Machines that could tell people's emotions by their tone of voice. And my special ability. Someday when people travel to distant planets, their companions will be robots. So she said they had to be able to understand how their human companions felt. Wow, robots that can understand people. I was just a convenient subject for her research. All she ever did was work, and she never paid any attention to me. Oh, sorry about that, dredging up all that old stuff. No need to apologize. I guess her home life was complicated. Oh, by the way, Miss Woods said something about you always wearing headphones. She always wore these big-looking, heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother made them for her as part of her research. I had to wear them every time I went out. Oh, I hated them so much, but she wouldn't listen. What were they for? Oh, she gave me some kind of explanation. But I don't remember now. It was too difficult for a little kid to understand. Okay, but let me say this one thing. I don't think your mother only thought of you as some handy subject for her research. I want to believe that, but just about the only things my mother left me with are widget and this earring. Oh, it's beautiful. It's made of a piece of real moon rock she had for research. Maybe she did love me, in her own way.
I'm sure of it. I'm really sure she did. Because that's what I want to believe, too. That's nice. I better ask her a little more about her mother's research. I should show her that paper I found in the robotics lab. Paper. The paper. This one? Oh, the Ponko series. You must have gone to the robotics lab. You seem to really love Ponko and Clonko. Yeah, my mother made them and I grew up around them, you know? Oh, there's one of those cute little robots in this photo too. See Ponko's bandages? I put those on her. I just wound them around and around. Pretty bad job, huh? But I really put my all into it. I hardly left the chamber in those days, so I didn't have any human friends besides Junie. I didn't really understand the difference between robots and people back then. I thought that if a robot broke, bandaging it would help it get better. What a weirdo I was. Looks like there's something written on the bandages. Yeah, I wrote stuff like, "Get well soon, Ponko." But in the end, my mom just put her on the operating table and fixed her in a flash. Oh, that must have been the thing I made move in the robotics lab. I was so impressed by what my mom did. I even asked her if she would put me on the table and fix me if I ever got hurt. It looked just like magic to me what she could do. A little girl who grew up around robots. She seems to have some good memories of it. On a different subject, did you hear about the person holding up the Space Center? Yes, a little. And this person has even taken hostages? I guess I'd better spare her the news about Chusi. Well, after some negotiating, we agreed to do a retrial of the case from 7 years ago. What? You're kidding me. So that means Prosecutor Blackwell might... Yep, I know he's innocent. I just have to prove it. So, wait, did you know him back then? Yes. He used to come visit my mom a lot. He studied psychology under her and would sometimes ask for advice on his legal cases. He was very kind and considerate and straight as an arrow, unlike now, where he's more twisted than a bucket of snakes. That's why I took the witness stand during his trial 7 years ago. Please, you have to listen to me. He didn't kill her. His heart is screaming that he didn't kill her. I was a fool. How could anybody else know what I was talking about? She heard the voice of his heart. You were only 11 then, right? You were very brave just to give testimony. Pearls is right. You did the very best you could at the time. But nothing I said did any good. I was just shaking and scared little girl, small and ineffectual. Even after I went to live with my relatives in Europe, I stayed closed up in my shell. But you're different now. You're always so bright and cheerful. Thanks. That's because one day I came to realize that I had to fight. I couldn't give up. I exercised hard and I studied hard. I wanted to become the strongest lawyer I could be. Why, you became a lawyer. On a different... Oh, gosh darn it. Why didn't it do the previous one before? Alright, sorry guys. Yay. Oh, man. So since random talking is going on, who do you all think it is? Who is the murderer of this case? The big epic murderer person? I will say this now, we have seen everyone. I wanted to save Simon, but I had no idea how. Then I met Mr. Wright, and thanks to him, I realized that if I became a lawyer, I could prove that Simon was innocent. I also realized that psychology could help me do this. I mean, psychology was my mother's specialty. When I studied it, I felt like she was there with me, supporting me. It doesn't seem like Athena knows that Prosecutor Blackquill is due to be executed tomorrow. I wanted to prove Simon's innocence personally. I wanted to do it so bad. Even now, I want to fly out of here and go save him. Come to think of it, she said something like that during the Themis Legal Academy trial. She mentioned there was somebody she wanted to save.
Frankly, you have a weird idea. It's Fulbright.
We'll see. She must have been talking about Prosecutor Blackwell. I heard some prison guards say that you had an interview with Simon. How was he? What did he say? No, I can't tell her. But how can I lie to Athena? He was doing well. He was happy about the possibility of being proven innocent. He was? I wonder if he smiled, like he used to, back then. If I can't prove Prosecutor Blackwell's innocence in this trial, I don't think Athena will ever forgive me. I just have to free him. Failure is not an option here. I thought you might be here, Mr. Lawyer. We're in trouble. What, we are? What is it? I couldn't find a single open courtroom. They're all in session. Oh no, but this is an emergency. It's very difficult to interrupt a trial once it's underway. My phone. It's from Trucy. I told you I'd give you 1 hour. I guess it's time to pick one of the hostages. No, wait, we still have a little more time. Besides, all of the courtrooms are being used right now. Make all the excuses you want, but you won't get any more time. Your daughter is first. The poor thing. She's a little too young to die, don't you think? No, don't you dare hurt her. There has to be something I can do. The cruelest injustice is about to befall us. No, this can't be happening. Mystic Maya, help us. Wait a minute. Maya? I read somewhere that you were holding a trial in the middle of an exploding courtroom? That must have really been something, although weird is par for the course with you. A courtroom blew up. That's it! There is a courtroom we can use after all! Okay, time's up. Too bad. Any last words you'd like to say to her?
Hold it!
Aura, please don't add to the crimes you've already committed. So you know who I am, do you? It wasn't like I was trying to keep it a secret anyway. We're ready to start the trial. We can hold it in the ruins of courtroom number 4. The one that blew up by the bomber. Oh, what a wonderful idea, Mr. Nick. I never would have thought of that. An astonishing trial is in an astonishing location. I guess it's only befitting. I'll go get the place ready right away. I didn't exactly pick the place for its astonishing factor. How about it? Are you ready to have your brother's innocence proven? My brother. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I forget to mention? It's not Simon you'll be defending. What? Not Prosecutor Blackwell? I indict Athena Sykes on the charge of murdering her own mother. You'll be defending the little princess there on behalf of the one behind the glass. What? See you in the mountain of rubble you've chosen for our courtroom, Mr. Wright. What is she talking about, Athena? Of course. Why didn't it ever occur to me before? If Prosecutor Blackwell is innocent, somebody else had to have been the true culprit. Did I kill my own mother? No! No! Oh no. Oh no. Not these again. No way. It can't be true. Mr. Nick, what's the matter? I see 5 black psyche locks. I've seen these kinds of locks before. Dark, black locks protecting a secret hidden deep inside a person's heart. And there's no way to remove them. Ho 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 ho. Well, that's a problem, guys. I at least want to start it, plus it hasn't been 3 hours yet. Let's hear what these psyche locks are, because Pearl's here. Perfect timing, though. Yeah. I did a little research. I looked into those special psyche locks you mentioned, Mr. Nick. You did? That's great. I really appreciate it. A red psyche lock protects a secret a person is consciously trying to hide. If the person folds under questioning, the lock breaks and the truth comes out. Yep, that's exactly how I got the truth out of Detective Fulbright and Director Cosmos. But a black psyche lock protects a secret from the deepest place in a person's heart. A secret that person isn't even consciously aware of. So even if they don't know it's there, Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, a part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself. Okay, so all I have to do is break the psyche locks. According to my research, a black psyche lock is like a heavy chain wrapped in directly around one's heart. If they are ripped off by force, it could cause permanent damage to a person's soul. In other words, if I'm not careful, I could traumatize Athena for good. Gulp. Pearls, could you stay by Athena's side? She must be suffering under the weight of such a heavy burden. Alright, but will you be alright by yourself, Mr. Nick? I'm up against Edgeworth. I have to be able to give this child all of my focus and strength. And you can't do that if I'm there. I'll just hold you back. No, that's not it. I just meant that I can relax and concentrate if I knew you were with Athena. You're the only one who can do it, Pearls. Alright. I'll do it then. Good luck, Mr. Nick. Good. Now that my mind is at ease, I better get ready. I'll just tidy up the evidence and take out what I don't need. It's time to end this nightmare that started 7 years ago. One more cutscene. Defense, prosecution, and judge. There are even people in the gallery. The room has been completely blown off and the walls have collapsed. But today, this ruin is my battleground. Oh, and look who we're defending. There you go, Captain Chips. Court, or some facsimile thereof, is now in the session for the trial of Athena Sykes. Not a facsimile, old man. This is a proper official trial. Take this more seriously, or you'll start hearing the bones of the hostages snap. Please try not to upset Miss Blackwell. I am begging you. Court is now in session for the very serious and very proper trial of Athena Sykes. This is no trial. It's nothing more than a ridiculous farce. What did you say? Edgeworth, did you not hear what I just said to His Honor? However, this ridiculous farce has a very important meaning for our legal system. Recall the case of the UR1 incident in which a prosecutor was found guilty of murder. Not quite where you were aiming at? Yeah, it's kind of clunko, but not really. That case ushered in the odious dark age of the law. I see what you're after. If we can find the real truth behind the case today. Precisely. The darkness will be dispelled and glory shall be restored to the court system. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you sound as if you know something of this truth. I do indeed. A new suspect has emerged in the UR1 case. For 7 years, Simon Blackwell has refused to speak in order to cover for someone else. Brace yourself, Phoenix. Here it comes. I'm sorry, Wright, but the situation is what it is, and I must do what I must. The prosecution moves to indict Athena Sykes on the count of murder in the first degree.
Regardless the circumstance, I intend to question the defendant with all I have. For that is a part of my creed.
Then you'd better bring it.
If the two of you are ready. Court is now in session for the trial of Athena Sykes.
Your Honor, the defense was born ready.
The prosecution is also ready.
Ho 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 ho! Exciting! This immense tension between us. It's like we're picking up right where we left off. And we're going to leave off right there. Next time I play this game,
sparks will fly, hair will fly, and all kinds of craziness will happen. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream right here. Tomorrow will be more Skyrim and more of that Zwei game, so look forward to that. Take care, guys, and have a good night. Bye-bye!